हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत नाम।
हरे कृष्ण माता जी, दंड प्रणाम।
प्रभु जी, आपकी आईडी से चल रहा है आज क्या?
क्या हो रहा है?
ये आपकी आईडी से लाया मैंने आज।
हाँ जी।
मैंने आपकी आईडी डाली आज।
हाँ तो वो बेटर है ना, प्रॉपरली आप होस्ट बन जाओगे उससे। इसी आईडी से लॉगिन करो आप।
नो, इज दिस योर आईडी? मतलब जो आज जूम आईडी चल रही है वो आपकी चल
यस
रही है?
यस यस यस।
ओ कृष्णा,
आपकी
ओके
आवाज
ओके।
कट रही है।
कट रही है? मेरा नेटवर्क नहीं चल रहा है, मतलब ये ढंग वाला। मैं चेंज करती हूँ। ठीक है ठीक है प्रभु जी, थैंक यू सो मच, थैंक यू फॉर अटेंडेंस सेवा।
थैंक यू। स्मॉलर, कोई बात नहीं, एनी टाइम। हरे कृष्णा, वेलकम
Hare
बैक।
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please have our humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna. Okay, let's start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nigamakalpatarorgalitam phalam sukamkatam data ravasamyatam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam mugharagorasika bhuvibhavakaha. Narayanam namaskritya naran chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudiraye. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatyuttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamahyam Dadadi Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sakagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sakagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanasute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschaittya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Prativachalam Langayate Grimithapatmaham Mande Shigrum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanyameshwaram Katanchana Smrite Yasmin Dushkaram Sukaram Bhave Smrite Pritam Syat Sri Chaitanyam Namamitam. Okay, so we are going through the Sloki. So I think we I think somewhere we stopped here. We stopped it somewhere in the middle of the second shloka. That's where we stopped, if I remember correctly. Okay, please start from here. The ignorant person.
The ignorant person, therefore, may even be a scientist or sociologist in the drama of Prakriti, while the sane person knows Prakriti as the illusory energy of the Lord. By such a conclusion, as confirmed by the Bhagavad Gita, it is clear that the living entities are also a display of the Lord's superior energy, Para Prakriti, just as the material world is a display of the Lord's inferior energy, Apara Prakriti. Fire is possessed of heat, but heat is not fire. The simple thing is not understood by the man with a poor fund of knowledge, who falsely claims that the fire and the heat are the same. This energy of the fire, namely heat, is explained here as a reflection and not directly fire. Therefore, the living energy represented by the living entity is a reflection of the Lord and never the Lord himself. This material energy may be compared to darkness, as actually it is darkness, and the activities of the living entities in the darkness are reflection of the original light. No one can make a solution of the darkness of ignorance simply by the reflection of light. Similarly, no one can come out of the material existence simply by the reflected light of the common man. One has to receive the light from the original light itself. The reflection of sunlight in the darkness is unable to drive out the darkness, but the sunlight outside the reflection can drive out the darkness completely. In darkness, no one can see the things in a room. Therefore, a person in the dark is afraid of snakes and scorpions, although there may not be such things. But in the light, the things in the room can be clearly seen, and the fear of snakes and scorpions is at once removed. Therefore, one has to take shelter of the light of the Lord, as in the Bhagavad Gita or the Srimad Bhagavatam, and not the reflective personalities who have no touch with the Lord. According to Padma
Stop here.
Purana,
We'll stop here. Let's discuss a little bit. So the first point which Prabhupada is explaining here is that, which is a simple point, all of us are familiar with. There are two energies of the Lord. There is Apara Prakriti and Para Prakriti. Para Prakriti is the superior energy and Apara Prakriti is the inferior energy. Now, generally, when we say superior and inferior, we also think automatically that superior energy is more powerful and the inferior energy is less powerful. But this is not the case here. The energy is considered superior or inferior because Para Prakriti is filled with consciousness. Apara Prakriti is not filled with consciousness. The presence of the consciousness makes the Para Prakriti superior because then it is also Brahmavastu. It is also Brahman. The Lord is also Brahman and the living entity is also Brahman. But the inferior energy, it is called inferior because there is no consciousness. It is just matter. So since consciousness is superior to matter, therefore, Jiva is called as superior energy and the external energy is called as inferior energy. But however, it should be noted that the inferior energy, the so-called inferior energy, is more powerful than the so-called superior energy. That is the point. The so-called inferior energy is more powerful than the so-called superior energy. In power, the inferior energy is greater. It's not inferior in power. It is inferior in quality. That is why it is called as inferior energy. But when you actually consider power, it is superior. Krishna says very clearly in Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, Daivihyesha gunamayi mamamaya duratyaya. My Maya, which is made of the three guna, this is my energy. This is very difficult to overcome. Duratyaya, it is very difficult to overcome. So therefore, the inferiority of the external energy is limited to its quality. It is not applied to the strength. If you see strength-wise, the inferior energy is stronger than the superior energy, which is the Jiva, and the inferior energy is able to easily overcome the superior energy, Jiva, by the understanding or by the arrangement of the Lord. By the arrangement of the Lord. The Lord has arranged the energies in such way that the superior energy becomes easily overcome by the inferior energy. It's a Lord's arrangement. Karmana Deivane Trena Jantur Tehopapatyaye Striya Pravishta Udaram Pumso Retakanashraya. In third canto, we'll study this. And Krishna also says, Mayadakshena Prakriti Suyacheta Characharam Hetunanena Kaunteya Jagat Viparivartate. Jagat Viparivartate. This inferior energy of mine, this is actually working under my supervision, Mayadakshena Prakriti, under my supervision. And under Krishna's supervision, what is that inferior energy doing? It is actually causing the moving and non-moving in the creation. It becomes the Hetu. It becomes the Hetu. Hetu means reason. It becomes the reason for the moving and non-moving entities within the creation. And the whole creation is running under the influence of this external energy, which is the inferior energy. So we should clearly understand inferior and superior, how it is defined and how it should be understood. We should understand inferior and superior not in terms of power, but in terms of quality. And in terms of power, the inferior energy is more powerful than the superior energy, which is the Jiva. So therefore, the inferior energy is able to overcome the superior energy, which is the Jiva, and it's able to keep the Jiva under its control by the arrangement of the Supreme Lord. This will be clear, and this was made clear in the beginning. In the beginning of 9th chapter, this point was made very, very clear that Sukadeva Goswami said that unless he comes under the influence of the Maya, unless he comes under the influence of Maya, there is no meaning to the association between the body and the soul, because the body and the soul, they are not related to each other. They are completely not related to each other. Therefore, unless this fellow who is a spirit soul, he comes under the influence of the external energy, there is no meaning to this body and soul. This was made very, very clear to us. So therefore, this point should be understood nicely, that how Maya is inferior and how Maya is superior. It is inferior and superior at the same time. How it is inferior and superior at the same time, this should be understood. Now, Prabhupada is giving one very nice example, which is a very powerful example Prabhupada is giving to understand the position of the living entity. So, Maya is considered darkness. Maya is considered darkness. So, when we are small children, we had this habit of playing. I have played this many times. Probably some of you also played. That what we do, when the sunlight comes through the window in the house, we try to take a mirror and try to reflect that sunlight into a dark room. And then try to move the reflection here and there, and then play with that reflection. I don't know if you have done this kind of things. This we used to do very commonly in our house when we were children. Because we had a tiled roof, and from the tiled roof, sunlight used to come inside. And there was another room, which is a very dark room. And in that room wall, we used to project the light and then play with the light. It's a very nice game to play. Can keep playing for a long time. But that reflection of the sunlight, it cannot remove the darkness of the room. It can only remove the darkness of a very, very small area according to the surface area of the mirror which we are using. So similarly, the activities of the conditioned soul are not in full knowledge, and it cannot remove the darkness of the ignorance caused by Maya simply by mundane activities, which are actually considered like the reflection of the sunlight into a dark room. So it's a very nice and clear example. It cannot be. It cannot work like that. So if you want to remove the darkness of the room, and as children, how did we create darkness in the room? Because in that room, on the roof of that room, there was one glass through which the sunlight is supposed to come. What we will do, we will go to the open terrace and we will put some bed sheet and cover that glass. The moment you cover that glass, then there is no question of sunlight coming inside. Automatically, the room will become dark. So when we finish playing, we remove that bed sheet on the glass. So then the sunlight starts coming in, the room becomes fully lit up. So what can remove the darkness is only the sunlight. The small reflection of sunlight cannot remove the darkness. So from these 2 points are established. One point which is established is that reflection of sunlight cannot be compared to the source of light, which is the sun. Same way, the Jiva cannot be compared to the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is Supreme Lord. The Jiva is Jiva. But the reflection of sunlight can also be called as sunlight because it is the sunlight itself. So same way, qualitatively, the Jiva and the Supreme Lord, they are actually one and the same. So if we want to remove the darkness, we should actually allow the sunlight to come inside, not the reflection of sunlight. So same way, if we want to remove the ignorance, we should allow the knowledge of the Supreme Lord. Janma karma chame divyam yevam yo veti tatvataha tektva deham punarjanma na iti mame iti so Arjuna vitaraga bhayak krodha manmaya mam upashritaha bahavo jnana tapasa putamadbhava magataha. So we should let the knowledge of the Lord to actually come into the Jiva's life. That knowledge is like the sun. And this is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna explains exactly, Krishna uses the same example in Bhagavad Gita. You know which chapter, which shloka? Do you remember? Very famous words. You remember which chapter, which shloka? Krishna.
10th chapter, Bhagavad Gita. Dadami buddhi yogam ye namam upayantite.
What is that?
Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamu that or
Is there?
8, 9, 10, 11.
So does Krishna compare that knowledge to sunlight in those verses?
Yes, yes. Oh.
Krishna compares the knowledge to lamp in those verses. He doesn't compare the knowledge to sunlight in those verses.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's a good verse. It's a good verse. But Krishna compares the knowledge of Krishna consciousness to sunlight in one verse in Bhagavad Gita. Which verse? I'm sure in Bhakti Shastri you wrote essay. One essay you all wrote that how the Jiva is responsible for his activities and Krishna is not responsible for his activities. I'm sure you wrote an essay like this. Okay, I'll give a clue.
Jnana Bhasvata, is the same verse of the Vichansi? Jnana
Jnana
Bhasvata.
Bhasvata is you are going to
Again,
say
lamp?
chapter.
Lamp. Okay.
10th chapter. It's 10th chapter. That's where the Lord compares the knowledge to lamp. Okay. Okay, it is in 5th chapter. Find the shloka. This is your homework. Find the shloka. It is in 5th chapter. It is in 5th chapter Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So, Anand Lila Mataji, you had your hand up. You wanted to say something.
Yeah, it's sort of answered when you gave the example of the reflection. I mean, my question was, usually if something is qualitatively strong, then it has a very stronger effect than even if it is present with other things which are not that qualitatively pure. So then why would like we would say that the inferior energy is more powerful than superior? So that
So that's why this example is very nice. Prabhupada gives a very powerful example. So darkness also leads to imagination. That's the second part of this analogy. The same room, when it is fully lit, somebody doesn't hesitate to go into that room. Like for example, our Mahavan garden. So when the Mahavan garden, for some time we were actually not switching on all the garden lights because the lights are too powerful and it was disturbing us like anything. So we switched off all the garden lights. And there was some minimal lighting was there, whatever light come from balcony or the house, that used to be the light in the garden. Then summer became too intense and the ground got too much heated up and all the snakes started coming out. So then every day somebody was seeing some snake in our garden. Some long snake, short snake, black snake, green snake, somebody was seeing some snake in our garden. Then everybody became afraid of the darkness. Nobody wants to go there in the garden in the evening time. So then we switched on all the garden lights. Now it's like the garden is fully lit, like more or less like morning time. Now everybody can see what is there. Now again, people are coming into the garden. They are walking in the garden. So darkness means there are a lot of assumption and fear. And those assumption and fear, they have no basis sometimes. They have no basis sometimes. So same way, in the material life, there is a lot of assumption and fear. Vita, Raga, Bhaya, Krodha. Raga, Bhaya and Krodha. Raga means what? What is Raga? Raga means what?
Attachment.
Attachment. Bhaya means?
Fear.
Fear. Krodha means?
Anger.
Anger. So all the three are there due to mental speculation. All the three are there in this material world due to mental speculation. In third canto, Bhagavatam, Prabhupada actually explains in one purport, makes a very nice statement. He says this entire material world is actually a creation of false ego and it exists in mental speculation only. Prabhupada says that this entire material world is actually creation of false ego, and it exists in mental speculation only. So simply due to mental speculation, birth after birth, we are getting one body after another body. Krishna explains this in Bhagavad Gita. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tejatyante kalevaram tam tam eva iti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavitaha. And according to the different possibilities of receiving different types of body, then there are 14 planetary systems. And within the 14 planetary systems, there are different type of life forms. 84 lakh different type of species are there. To accommodate for all the possibilities of having different types of body according to the mental speculation of the jiva at the time of death. So therefore, this whole creation simply exists in mental speculation only. It is simply a function of false ego. So we are actually assuming, oh, this person is my friend, this person is my enemy, and this enemy person I should act like this friend person I should act like this. This is all mental speculation. This is all mental speculation. And why does this mental speculation come? The basis of this mental speculation is sense gratification. And where does sense gratification come from? Sense gratification comes from the false identity of identifying the spirit soul with the body. So this is where it starts. The spirit soul identifies himself with the body. That's the first mental speculation. He is not this body. He has got nothing to do with this body. He has no relationship with this body. But the fellow actually thinks that he is this body. This is the first mental speculation. And due to that, he is thinking satisfying the bodily senses is the purpose of life. This is second mental speculation. And now he starts thinking, anybody who will help me to satisfy my senses, give me sense gratification, he is my friend. Anybody who is against my sense gratification, he is my enemy. Anybody who is not concerned with my sense gratification, I don't care for him. So now three categories have come. There is friend, there is enemy, and there is people we don't care for. All the three categories has come. So step by step, due to mental speculation, we actually create our world. And then we interact with friends in a certain way. We interact with the enemies in a certain way. We interact with the people whom we don't care for in a certain way. And this list is not standard. Sometimes we may consider some person as friend. Like for example, a man marries a woman, and the woman and man, they are thinking they are very friendly to each other. He is my husband, she is my wife, we are very friend to each other. But then sometimes they find that one person is not able to satisfy the sense gratification needs of another person. The husband is not able to satisfy the wife, or the wife is not able to satisfy the husband. Immediately they become enemies. Immediately they become enemies. As one funny case, that the boy and girl, before marriage, every day they used to exchange so many messages with each other. Till night, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, they're exchanging messages with each other, writing to each other. Then I told them, see, you have to have some moratorium of communication. You cannot keep writing to each other message till 12 o'clock at night. Then how will you do your morning services? So 9 o'clock is the last time for you to communicate with each other. After 9 o'clock, you should not communicate with each other. Of course, both boy and girl, they were actually known to us, and we arranged the marriage. So we told them, no more communication after 9 o'clock. We know, if you say 9 o'clock, up to 10 o'clock, they'll communicate. It's okay. At least 10 o'clock is decent. So till the day before marriage, they're communicating with each other till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Then they got married. 2 days after marriage, they're fighting with each other. Now the boy is complaining about the girl is complaining about the boy. I said, Arey, 2 days before you are both communicating with each other till 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, 2 days after marriage, why you are fighting? Why you are fighting? What changed? Why you are fighting? What changed? The expectation of satisfying each other's senses changed. That is what changed. The moment it changes, then the friend become enemy, the enemy become friend, start fighting with each other. Of course, they're nice couple. Anybody has some differences, but are very Krishna conscious. So therefore, when we met them, sit and talk to each other, they came to senses. So the point is that there is no permanent friendship or there is no permanent enmity. This friendship and enmity is simply based on sense gratification. So therefore, there's a lot of mental speculation which actually causes this material creation to push further and further and further and gives many type of bodies to the jiva. And all this mental speculation has one common characteristic. What is the common characteristic? You know what is the common characteristic of all this mental speculation? What is the common characteristic?
False ego.
That's part of mental speculation.
They are thinking themselves that they are bodies.
Can you be a little bit more specific? Yeah, it's true. False ego, they're thinking their body. This is all part of mental speculation.
Enjoying propensity.
Can you be more specific?
Want
Correct.
to become center.
Correct.
Self-centered.
Yeah, this answer is correct, but it has to be more specific.
Self-centered.
Yeah, but can you be more? What does self-centered mean? Can you explain self-centered?
False expectations, false expectations or something.
No. You are going. You're deviating. He was Amalacharan Prabhu was in the right direction.
Being in the control of your senses.
No. Don't deviate. He was in the correct direction. He just needs to explain it a little bit more.
It means like I want to become the enjoyer of all my acts.
Correct. Okay. So can you explain it a little bit further? This is correct. You're going in the right direction. You're just taking steps by step towards the right direction. But your direction is very correct. Just go in the same direction, you will get the answer.
Mentality of enjoyment.
Yeah, he already said that. I just wanted it to be more specific.
Krishna, seeming
Bhakti.
ourselves is the ourselves are enjoyer, not saying that Krishna is enjoyer and we are the enjoying, forgetting this principle.
Yeah, okay. You gave the answer, but like you gave in so many words. It's very simple. Enjoying propensity independent of Krishna. Okay.
Bhakti.
This is the most important point. What is that? Independent of Krishna. Sense gratification itself is not the problem. Is not the problem. Because body means senses. Senses mean they have to be gratified. That's why senses are there. They have to be gratified. It's not that senses should not be gratified. This is all Jnana Marga. Only Jnanis think that the senses should not be gratified. But even them, they cannot but help to gratify the senses. There's only the theory that sense should not be gratified. But if they're thirsty, if they drink water, then that is also sense gratification only. And if they pass stool in the morning, that's also sense gratification only. Everything is sense gratification only. You cannot avoid sense gratification as long as you have body. You can have more sense gratification, you can have less sense gratification. That you can have. But sense gratification itself cannot be avoided because when the bodily functions are properly done, that itself causes sense gratification. So, sense gratification itself cannot be avoided. But the problem is when we have sense gratification independent of Krishna. That is the problem. That is the actual problem. That is what Krishna is pointing out in this verse. Ritertam ya pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani tadvidyat atmano maya. If you don't see things in connection with Krishna, then there is no meaning to those things. And that is called Maya. So this will be further explained by Kapila Dev in the third chapter, in the third canto, in terms, not third chapter, in the third canto, in terms of devotees who are like this. So devotees in mode of ignorance, devotees in mode of passion, and devotees in mode of goodness, they are called Binnadhrik. Binnadhrik means that they have a separate vision. Prabhupada translates them as separatist. They are practicing Krishna consciousness, but still they are maintaining some independent ideas of sense gratification away from their Krishna consciousness. They are thinking this is Krishna consciousness, this is sense gratification. They both don't have any connection. They are thinking like that. They are thinking like that. So you can see that they are like this, 5.16. Okay, somebody posted that Bhagavad Gita verse number 5.16. Yak adityavat jnanam, Krishna says. Adityavat jnanam. That this knowledge is like sun. So prakashayati tatparam says. That it makes everything clear. It makes the whole thing clear. So even devotees maintain something. Like for example, sometimes devotees think that I have a material life, I have a spiritual life. When I come to temple, I am devotee. When I am sitting in office, I am office man. So I have to be in office like office man, and in temple I have to be like devotee. So in temple I will put dhoti kurta, I will put tilaka, I will put gantimala, I will be very humble, I will say everybody Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna Prabhu. And when I am going to office, I will wear office dress, then I will become another person. No, we are always the same person. When we maintain these two different identity, that I am in outside temple, I am a different person, inside temple, I am a different person, when I am doing my business, I am a different person, when I am doing devotional service, I am a different person. When we try to maintain this duality of identity, then this is called Maya. This is called Maya. This is called Maya. So that is the mental speculation. That's the mental speculation. And that mental speculation causes attachment, raga, bhaya, which is fear, and krodha, which is anger, which is the symptoms of material life. So therefore, having knowledge of Krishna means that one is free from these three things, raga, bhaya, and krodha. That means he is having knowledge of Krishna. Okay. Is this clear? This analogy and this portion of purport is clear? Any question, any doubt, or any comment, discussion, anything? Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
May I ask you something?
Yes, ma'am.
There's written in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the mystery of this knowledge culminates in personal attachment to the Lord with the result of detachment from anything non-Krishna. But there is also written that everything is related to him, as there is nothing which is not related to him. And there is nothing but Sri Krishna only, yet nothing is Sri Krishna. Achinta Bheda Bheda Tattva. Can you please explain this? What this is non-Krishna? What is non-Krishna? If everything belongs to Krishna, then what is which is non-Krishna?
So there are different non-Krishnas are there. Okay. I tell you what are the different non-Krishnas. Okay. What are non-Krishnas? The conception of the sense gratifiers that this world is Anishwaram. This is non-Krishna. So therefore, their association is also non-Krishna. Okay. And their activities is also non-Krishna. So therefore, a devotee does not take part in all those things. He doesn't go to nightclub and then dance, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. It doesn't dance. Okay. Of course, nightclub is made of Krishna's energy. The person who is playing the music in the nightclub has got that ability from Krishna only. And those who are dancing there, they are also dancing due to Krishna's energy. And everything is Krishna there. But there is no understanding there that everything is Krishna. So therefore, he doesn't go to nightclub and then drink beer and then dance with everybody saying ding dong, doesn't dance. Rather, he prefers to go to temple and then dance with the devotees, saying that Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. He wants to dance in front of deity. Okay. So the dancing function itself is not prohibited, but in which company, to which tune he dances, he chooses properly.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Got it.
But he sees Krishna there also. Therefore, he goes and distributes book to those people. After dancing at the nightclub, when they're coming out, he's standing at the nightclub or that place, and then he's distributing books. He's saying, can you please take this book, and can you please read? That you can be eternally high forever, and you can always keep dancing forever. Why to dance only for 2 hours and be high only for 1 hour? Be high forever and dance always. Take this book. So that is his Krishna conscious vision. When connected to them also, which is connected to them also. Is clear that how Krishna and non-Krishna works?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji. Got it. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
It's a nice question. I'm glad that you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, that purport. At least somebody did that. Okay. The treatment are different. Like if you read both the purports, you get nice understanding of Chatur Sloki, because treatment is slightly different. Okay, please read. Next. Next person, please read.
According to the Quran,
We are not able to hear. Is somebody else able to hear what he is reading? So maybe his line is choppy. Somebody else should.
Not audible.
Yes, yes.
Next person, read.
Anandita Mataji.
According to the Padma Puran, within the material compass, there are innumerable material universes, and all of them are full of darkness. Any living being, beginning from Brahmas, there are innumerable Brahmas in innumerable universes, to the insignificant ant. All are born in darkness, and they require factual light from the Lord to see Him directly, just as the sun can be seen only by the direct light of the sun. No lamp or man-made torchlight, however powerful it may be, can help one see the sun. The sun reveals itself. Here this light is specifically mentioned as Vidyat, which is an order by the Lord to Brahma. This direct order of the Lord is a manifestation of his internal energy, and this particular energy is the means of seeing the Lord face to face. Not only Brahma, but anyone who may be graced by the Lord to see such merciful direct internal energy can also realize the personality of Godhead without any mental speculation.
Okay, so there's a question on the chat. This Maya factor of duality be kindly explained in detail, like dress in office and in house. Doesn't matter if you dress in office differently. No need to actually wear the same devotional dress to office, because office may have a protocol to dress in a certain way. If there's no protocol like that, you can dress the same Vaishnava dress and you can go everywhere. But the point is not about the dress. The point is about the mentality. Dress can change. Even sometime for book distribution, devotees change their dress. They go in karmic clothes and then distribute books. Or sometimes if you go to Muslim countries, you cannot wear devotional dress. You have to wear karmic clothes only. You cannot avoid it. Even sannyasis come there, they wear karmic clothes and come. And then when they're giving program, they change. And then they come in devotional clothes and give class. So changing cloth is not a big deal. It's not a big deal. But what is a big deal is the consciousness. That is the big deal. That whether we are working to earn money or whatever work, it may be business, whatever work we are doing to earn money, or whether we are doing activities of devotional service, are we always conscious of Krishna, and are we always attributing everything to Krishna consciousness? That is the most important part. That's the most important part. That point is important. Dress is not so important. You can wear t-shirt in office and jeans in office and then sit in office, and then you can come to temple in Vaishnava dress. It's okay. Doesn't matter. Because if that is what is required, then you should do it. That's not a problem. But the problem is when we don't have the same mentality of being a devotee, both in the workplace and also in the temple. Means 24 hours we should be the same person, which is devotee. And then we deal with different people according to their caliber, accordingly. That's okay, that's fine. If one is a boss in the office, then he may actually behave like a boss, and then he may give work to others, and then he may do things to others. And he may say things to others. Sometimes he may chastise, sometimes he may reward. He may do so many things. But in all these things, if we are aware that I am actually servant of Krishna, and these people are also spirit souls, and they're also servant of Krishna, and we should help them in Krishna conscious way. We should make them God conscious. If we have that mentality to be the well-wisher of everyone, then that means we are properly situated. We don't treat anybody like enemy. We are the well-wisher of everyone. Somebody may treat us like enemy, but we remain the well-wisher of that person also. It's not that, okay, this fellow is making some politics against me, so I should destroy him. No, we should also be his well-wisher. We should also be his well-wisher. So if we are able to maintain that consciousness, sometimes some people ask, oh, how can we be devotee and humble everywhere? Then in the material world, they will sit on our head and they will destroy us. So in this connection, there is a nice story which Narada tells, it is there in the Dhruva section, in the 4th canto. It's about a snake. Maybe many of you know the story. So there was a very venomous snake in a village, a very envious snake, very dangerous. He will simply go and bite everybody without reason. Even if people don't trouble, just go and bite them. And it was so bad that they became even afraid of coming out of their house because of that snake. And if anybody knows this snake is coming out, everybody will run away. Nobody will stay. So therefore, it became such a big disturbance and menace in the village. And then Narada Muni came to the village. All the villagers complained to Narada Muni, saying that this snake has become such a big headache. Can you please do something to this snake? Then Narada Muni goes to the snake, and the snake understands Narada Muni is a saintly person. So even if I bite him, he will not die. And he is a great man. He is devotee of the Lord. So the snake comes and then he bows down to Narada Muni. And then Narada Muni says, hey, why are you biting everybody? Don't bite anybody. And he gives some nice advice to the snake and then goes. Now the snake has become a very saintly person because of Narada Muni's association. Now the snake is not biting anybody. He is quietly going in the village and coming back. So Narada Muni also went to the village and told, hey, I have given good advice to the snake. Snake will not trouble you anymore. Don't worry about the snake. Keep doing your activity. Then the snake came into the village, and it is not like before. It is not running behind people and biting. Then people are very surprised. Hey, this snake really becomes sadhu by Narada Muni association. Now the snake is not biting anybody. Then somebody said, maybe, no. Maybe the snake has not seen us. If we go in front of the snake, maybe it will bite us. Then somebody said, okay, let's try going in front of the snake. They went in front of the snake. The snake saw that, okay, this guy is coming in front. I should not bite him. The snake went to the other side. Then they said, hey, see, if you go in front of the snake, it's not biting. Then somebody said, maybe if you touch the snake, it will bite us. Then said, okay, let us try. And then somebody went and touched the snake, but the snake is not biting. It's simply going. Then somebody said, maybe if you lift the snake, it will bite us. Then somebody lifted the snake, and then it is not biting. Then all the children came to know the snake, even if you touch, it will not bite. Even if you lift, it will not bite. So next time the snake came out, all the children went around the snake. They started lifting the snake. They started putting it on the ground. They throw it. They play with the snake. But snake is not biting because he has told Narada Muni, I will not bite. So then they did so much to the snake was almost going to die. And that time Narada Muni came. And then he asked, oh, my dear disciple, how are you? Then the snake said, Gurudev, I am very fine. I am going to leave this body. Maybe because of your association, I will get some new body, which is much better than the snake body. Then the Narada Muni asked, hey, what happened to you? Why did you come to this situation? Then the snake said, what to do, Gurudev? You told me not to bite. I was not biting and these people made me like this. Then Narad Muni told him, hey, stupid snake, I told you not to bite, but I never told you not to raise your hood. So then the snake understood, oh, I should raise my hood, but I should not bite. So that next time the snake went into the village, when people came near the snake, push, it raised its hood. The moment it raised its hood, everybody started running. Hey, snake is going to bite, run away, run away, run away. Everybody started running. The snake peacefully did its business and then went back. So this is how we should deal with the material world. If needed, we should raise our hood, but we should not bite. It's a very nice instructive story that how to deal with the material world. As a devotee, how we should deal with the material world. Because material world is a very tough place. So therefore, we may have to raise our hood, but we should not bite. Means that we should not take things to heart and start thinking this person is my enemy, this person is my friend. We should not start thinking, we should not differentiate, we should not fall into the duality of friend and enemy. We may deal with an unfavorable person in a manner in which he has to be dealt with. But still we don't carry anything against that person in our heart. We still are his well-wisher. We're still praying for his Krishna consciousness to the Lord. Okay, this person he's having so much difficulty. My Lord, please let him become Krishna conscious. So this is the mood of devotee. That is how the devotee should be. That is how you maintain your Krishna consciousness throughout your day, throughout your activities. It should not be that when I'm wearing dhoti, kurta, gantimala, and tilak, I'm one person, and when I'm not wearing dhoti, kurta, gantimala, and tilak, I'm another person. It should not be like that. This is number one. And number two, coming back to the dress, a little bit sensitive point, but I'm saying this point. Coming back to the dress, if it is not necessary to wear some other dress, if it is not mandatory to wear some other dress, devotee should always wear Vaishnava dress. It applies to both men and women. If it is not necessary to wear some other dress, maybe like workplace or mostly it is workplace. All other places you can wear Vaishnava dress. Even at house also you should wear Vaishnava dress. If it is not necessary. Why? Because it actually gives us the proper consciousness. It actually gives us the proper consciousness. It always keeps us in the mood of being a Vaishnava. So we should train ourselves in such a way that if it is not absolutely necessary to wear some other dress, we should always wear Vaishnava dress. We should always wear tilak. We should always wear gantimala. And we should always wear Vaishnava dress. We should not change to non-Vaishnava dress when there is no need, when there is no absolute need for it. When we are not in the workplace, most of the demand comes due to workplace. Workplace related demand comes that you have to wear some kind of karmi dress. But when that need is not there, if you're just visiting relatives, if you're going to marriage, if you're going to some other place, always you should wear Vaishnava dress. If you want to wear, like if it's a marriage, you want to wear some opulent Vaishnava dress, you can always wear some opulent Vaishnava dress. It's no problem. You can wear silk dhoti, silk kurta, and silk overcoat, and everything silk, and some jewel, some whatever you want to wear, some diamond ring or whatever it is, some chain, whatever you want to wear, you can wear. But it should be Vaishnava dress. Should be Vaishnava dress. That is something which we should maintain. Because maintaining that Vaishnava culture actually has a big effect on consciousness. It has a huge effect on consciousness. So therefore, that's another aspect about dress, since the question was also about dress. That's also another aspect we should consider. Prabhupada is pleased when we wear Vaishnava dress. Once, one Prabhupada disciple in Mayapur, very old lady, my wife asked her that I always keep telling my wife, you're not covering your head. So my wife asked her, I told her, see, this is such an old lady, she is covering her head. So my wife went and asked her, you're so old, why are you still covering your head? She told that it pleases Prabhupada. She told that I cover my head because it pleases Prabhupada. So when we actually dress in a certain way, when we actually behave in a certain way, when we try to do things in a certain way, then if it is pleasing to Prabhupada, even if it's a small matter, if it is pleasing to Prabhupada, we should try to follow it. That's the mood we should have. Okay, now we go to the third sloka. Yata mahanti bhutani bhutechu tasvateshvano pravishhtani apravishtani tata teshu nateshvaham. Oh Brahma, please know that the universal elements enter into the cosmos and at the same time do not enter into the cosmos. Similarly, I myself exist within everything created. At the same time, I am outside everything. So Krishna explains this in 9th chapter Bhagavad Gita as Yogam Aishwaram. It says Pashyami Yogam Aishwaram. You please see this mystic opulence of mind that I am, even though I am the cosmic manifestation in one sense, and I am the everything, but still I am away from everything. So this is Krishna's speciality. And one who understands this special nature of Krishna, then the two things happen. One thing is that he can see Krishna everywhere. Second thing is that he actually gets proper conception of God. Proper conception of God. So therefore, our acharyas have explained that this third verse is actually the Prayojana verse. The first verse explains the relationship between the Lord and the creation and the living entities. The second verse again explains the relationship between the Lord and the creation and the living entities in terms of Maya. The first verse explains the relationship in terms of the Lord's own superiority. That's the first verse. It explains the relationship between the Lord, the creation, and the Jiva in terms of the Lord's own superiority, his superior position. The second verse explains this relationship in terms of understanding what is Maya and what is not Maya. So therefore, the first two verses can be called as Sambandha. The third verse actually gives us the tool to see Krishna and his love everywhere around us. Therefore, the third verse can be called as Prayojana. And the second verse, it gives the process. Therefore, the second verse is called as Abhideya. So there is Sambandha, there is Prayojana, and then there is Abhideya. Okay. Okay, so this is a very important Brahma Samhita verse 5.37, which Prabhupada is actually quoting here. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pradibhavitabi Stabirya Eva Nijarupataya Kalabhi Goloka Eva Nivasati Akilatma Bhuto Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the personality of Godhead Govinda, who by expansion of his internal potency of transcendental existence, knowledge and bliss, enjoys in his own expanded forms. Simultaneously, he enters into every atom of the creation. So it's a very, very important verse which explains the core understanding of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. So therefore, those who have not read the purport to this verse, it's a long purport. It's Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's purport. It's a long purport. It's a difficult English. You will need some dictionary to actually understand every word. So those who have not read this purport, they should definitely read this purport. Because if they have some interest in understanding the core philosophy of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, You should definitely read this purport. Definitely you should read the purport to 5.37 Brahma Samhita. That gives a clear understanding of the core Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. That who is God, who is Krishna, who is Radharani. Sometimes we think Krishna is a man and Radharani is a woman. Krishna is not a man as we know a man. Radharani is not a woman as we know a woman. They are not man and woman. They are Purusha and Prakriti. And in that sense, they are non-different from each other. They are non-different from each other. So to understand the core presentation of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, one should read that purport carefully. The interactions of the Purusha and Prakriti, for the interaction of Purusha and Prakriti, then there are some means which is required. Because the relationship between the Purusha and Prakriti is simply rasa. But rasa is a feeling. So that feeling needs an expression. Any feeling needs an expression. Without the expression, the feeling just remains as a feeling. It remains as an intangible thing. Like the wife cooks for the husband, and then she serves the husband, and she's carefully watching the husband's face. Why? Because in the husband's face, it will be written whether he likes the food or not. So she very carefully watches the husband's face. When I got married in the beginning, my wife would serve me, and when I start eating, immediately she will ask, do you like or you don't like? Like in my house, I have training from my mother that at the time of eating, nobody should talk anything. And whatever is on the plate, we should eat without complaining. We should finish the plate and go. That's it. There's no question of saying that I will not take this, I will not take this, I will not eat this, I will not eat this. Whatever comes on the plate, we should eat, and then chup chop, go, wash your plate, and then go. This is my mother's training. So I am trained for 22 years in the same way. Now I got married, another woman came. And the moment she serves and put one morsel in my mouth, she wants to know whether it is good or not. I have never commented on food. So then I made an arrangement with her. I told her, you wait till I finish eating. Then I'll tell you whether it is good or not. So she will serve, and then she will very eagerly wait till I finish eating. Then she will ask me that whether this cooking is good or not. I'll tell her water is very nice, and then go away. Initially, she used to get very irritated with this answer. But as time went by, she actually understood how to find out whether I like some cooking or I don't like some cooking, simply by watching my face. So, feeling is intangible. It needs expression. And that expression of rasa between Krishna and Radharani is the 64 forms of art. That's how the 64 forms of art came. The 64 forms of art came because there was a need to express the rasa between Krishna and Radharani. So therefore, Krishna is called as the reservoir of the 64 forms of art. He is called as Kala Nidhi. And Radharani is the perfect practitioner of the 64 forms of art. She is called Kalavati. So there is Kala Nidhi and Kalavati. Okay. The interactions between Kala Nidhi and Kalavati, it constitutes the 64 forms of art. That's how they came. That's how they are practiced in Goloka. So that interaction constitutes the Ananda Chinmaya Rasa. Okay. But that Ananda Chinmaya Rasa has reflected pervertedly in the material world. When it reflects pervertedly in the material world, then Aladini becomes Tapakari. The very Aladini, which gives so much pleasure, that becomes the burning potency, that becomes Durga. And that exclusive person, who is Krishna, the Purusha, he actually pervades everywhere in the cosmic manifestation. So as long as the cosmic manifestation is viewed from the perverted point of view, then one sees cosmic manifestation as a trap, or the cosmic manifestation actually traps the jiva. The moment the jiva is able to see the cosmic manifestation in connection with Krishna and his pastime, then within the same cosmic manifestation, then the jiva can actually, he can experience that same Ananda Chinmaya Rasa within the cosmic manifestation, because that cosmic manifestation now becomes completely Krishnaized for him. So therefore, the whole cosmic manifestation simply ceases to exist for him. What exists for him is Krishna's interaction with his devotees. That's what exists for him. So that's what he is able to see. So Krishna gives a simple example to explain this. Very, very simple, basic example he gives. Fire is outside, fire is inside. You can see fire outside, but there is also fire inside our stomach. Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva Praninam Dehamashritaha Pranapana Samayukta Pachamyannam Chaturvidam. So there's fire inside the stomach, but there's also the fire element outside. So same way, Krishna is also outside, Krishna is also inside. Krishna is a very, very simple example. Very, very simple example. Okay, so let's continue to read the purport.
The impersonalist can imagine or even perceive that the Supreme Brahman is thus all-pervading, and therefore they conclude that there is no possibility of his personal form. Herein lies the mystery of his transcendental knowledge. This mystery is transcendental love of Godhead, and one who is surcharged with such transcendental love of Godhead can without difficulty see the personality of Godhead in every atom and every movable or immovable objects. And at that,
just stop here. So forget love. Kamsa was able to see Krishna everywhere simply out of fear. It's not even love. It's just simply fear. Anything black would remind him of Krishna. And then he would become afraid that Krishna is going to come and kill him. So simply out of fear, he was able to see Krishna everywhere. Therefore, Kamsa was delivered. So therefore, in Brahma Samhita, Brahma says, Yam Krodha Kama Sahaja Pranayati Bhiti Vatsalya Moha Guru Gaurava Sevya Bhavai Sanchintya Tasya Tadrisim Tanuma Purete Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Whether you are looking at him, constantly meditating him on Krodha or Kama, or Sahaja or Pranaya or Bhiti or Vatsalya or Moha or Gaurava, whatever is the mood of your meditation, doesn't matter. If you are able to constantly meditate on him, that meditation delivers one to the spiritual world. Of course, our acharyas have explained that we are not for unfavorable meditation. In Nectar of Devotion, there's big discussion is there that what is the difference between favorable meditation and unfavorable meditation. And there, as Prabhupada actually explains very nicely, that we are not meant to do unfavorable meditation. Even though unfavorable meditation is also allowed by Krishna, but we are actually meant to do favorable meditation because we want to taste the sweetness of Krishna. So therefore, so our path is to do favorable meditation. Anukulyena Krishna Anusilana. Okay, please continue.
at the same time, he can see the personality of Godhead in his own abode, Golok, and enjoying the eternal pastime with his eternal associates, who are also the expansion of his transcendental existence. This vision is the real mystery of the spiritual knowledge, as stated by the Lord in the beginning. This mystery is the most confidential part of the knowledge of the Supreme, and it is impossible for the mental speculator to discover by the dint of intellectual gymnastic.
Prabhupada gives a very simple example, a very simple analogy Prabhupada gives. That there's a mother, there's a child. Okay. So when for some reason the child is separated from the mother temporarily, the child has gone out or something like that, or the father has taken the child or something, then the mother sees the items which is used by the child, and the mother actually remembers the child simply by seeing the items which is used by the child. Because the mother sees those items simply not as some items, but they actually sees the items in relation to the child. So this dress my child was wearing at this time, and at that time this thing happened, and because of this thing, then this another thing happened. So she is able to remember all the different incidents which are connected to that item. So therefore, that item itself becomes the vehicle for the remembrance of the child. The same thing happens to the devotee. When the devotee sees the cosmic manifestation, he is simply able to see Krishna. Like there was one devotee of Jagannath, and his name was Dasya Bauri. And this Dasya Bauri, he was actually a low-class person. So therefore, he was not allowed to go into Jagannath temple generally, but he had many pastimes with Lord Jagannath. And in one particular pastime, it was explained that his wife actually gave him on a mud pot some rice with some shark which was kept, some fried shark which was kept in the middle. She actually gave him a mud pot with rice and shark in the middle for his lunch. And then this guy came, he sat in front of this mud pot, and then he started jumping, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, he was jumping. And his wife thought this guy has become crazy. I am giving him food to eat. This guy is simply jumping, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath. Why is he jumping like this, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath? So she went and asked him, hey, what happened to you? Why are you so crazy? Why are you jumping, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath? And then he said, oh, can't you see? This is Jagannath's eyes. Can't you see Jagannath's eye here? Can't you see Jagannath's eyes? She said, what Jagannath's eyes? I gave you lunch to eat. He said, no, there's no lunch. There's only Jagannath's eye is there. Jai Jagannath's eye is there. Why? Because the redness of the mud pot and the whiteness of the rice and the blackness of the shark which is in the middle, it was resembling the eye of Jagannath. So therefore, he was not eating, he was not seeing it as mud pot, rice and shark. He was actually seeing it as Jagannath's eye. So simply by seeing some rice which was kept in the mud pot with some shark, he became ecstatic. He became so ecstatic, jumping up and down in his hut, jumping, hey, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath. So this is the typical vision of a devotee, that anything, everything he sees, he cannot see that particular form. Stavara Jangama deke, na deke tara murti. He is not able to see that there is mud pot, there is rice, there is shark. He is not able to see those separate forms which normally anybody would see, that okay, there is a mud pot, there is some rice, there is some shark. Okay, let's mix the shark with the rice and then throw the mud, eat and then throw the mud pot. This is the normal reaction of a person. But for him, there is no mud pot, there is no rice, there is no shark, there is only Jagannath's eye. Because his Ishtadeva has overcome his senses. So he is able to readily see the manifestation of the Lord everywhere. Even on a simple lunch, he is able to see the manifestation of the Lord. So that is what is the secret which the Mayavadis are not able to understand. They are thinking that something which is dispersed, it cannot be personal. So the Lord is dispersed. It is written in the Upanishad that he is there everywhere. So therefore he cannot be personal. But he is God. He can be personal and he can be dispersed at the same time. He can be dispersed and he can be personal at the same time. So that the Mayavadis are not able to understand. So therefore, they are only able to see the universal form as the impersonal representation of Brahman. But for devotee, the universal form represents Krishna's love. He sees the rain clouds. He is thinking, oh, this is hair of Krishna. Because of the hair of Krishna, I am getting so much rain. And because of that rain, then grains are growing and I am getting my food and I am so happy. And the grains which are growing, they are also bodily hair of Krishna. So there is hair in the head, there is bodily hair. So the hair in the head and bodily hair, this is what is maintaining me. So when he sees Krishna's, when he sees the rain clouds and when he sees the different plants and trees, which is actually giving him food, then he is actually thinking of Krishna. Oh, Krishna is maintaining me so nicely. By his own body, he is maintaining me so nicely. So like that, every aspect of the cosmic manifestation simply reminds the devotee of Krishna and his love. So therefore, the devotee starts missing Krishna. The devotee starts missing Krishna. He is thinking, oh, where is Krishna? Why did I come here? What am I doing here without Krishna? What life I am living? What is the use of this life? There is no use of this life which I am living. Is of no consequence. Why should I live this life like this? He's thinking, Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram, Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Budau, Krupaya Tavapada Pankajas Titaduli Sadrisham Vichintaya. That what is my thinking now? How can I go and reach Krishna's lotus feet? This is my thinking. The thinking has changed. The thinking has changed from how can I enjoy this material world to how can I go and reach Krishna's lotus feet? What am I doing here? What am I doing here? There is no business for me here. I cannot do anything here. This is not my place. So whatever is there, it belongs to Krishna. So said, let me utilize everything in Krishna's service. So he gets that mentality. Of course, it's not so easy to get that mentality. We cannot fake it. We have to make it. It's not possible to fake this mentality. Okay. Please read further.
I worship the original personality of Godhead, Govinda, whom the pure devotees, their eyes are smeared with the ointment of love of Godhead and always observe within their heart. This Govinda, the original personality of Godhead, is Sham Sundar with all transcendental qualities.
Okay. Now, how to attain the love of Godhead, that Prabhupada explains now. Okay, please read.
And this love of Godhead can be attained only by the practice of transcendental loving service of the Lord and nothing else. The vision of the devotees is not ordinary. It is purified by the process of devotional service. In other words, as the universal elements are both within and without, similarly, the Lord's name, form, quality, pastimes, entourage, etc., as they are described in the revealed scriptures or as performed in the Vaikuntha Lokas are far, far beyond the material cosmic manifestation are. The Lord can award anyone and everyone liberation from the bondage of material existence. Yet he rarely awards the privilege of love of Godhead as confirmed by the Narada. Thus, the love of Godhead developed in the heart of the devotee is a great mystery. Brahmaji previously told Narada that the desire of Brahmaji are never unfulfilled because he always observed in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, nor he has any desires in his heart save and accept the transcendental service of the Lord. That is the beauty and mystery of the process of Bhakti Yoga. As the Lord's desire is infallible because his Achyuta, similarly the desires of the devotees in transcendental service of the Lord is also Achyuta, infallible. This is very difficult, however, for the layman to understand without the knowledge of the mystery of transcendental devotional service, as it is very difficult to know the potency of the touchstone.
Yeah, so therefore we can see that how Prabhupada, whatever he's saying is coming true. Prabhupada is saying that, his books will be distributed all over the world. Now we are seeing that the books are distributed all over the world. Even in his time, it was happening that it was getting distributed all over the world. Prabhupada wanted Krishna consciousness to spread all over the world. Now it's happening. Krishna consciousness is spreading all over the world. Prabhupada wanted gorgeous temples in Bombay, in Vrindavan, in Mayapur. Now we can see it is happening. We are getting gorgeous temples in Bombay, in Vrindavan, in Mayapur. So different things Prabhupada said that these things should be done, that thing should be done, this should happen, that should happen. We can see all these things happening in this at this time now. And same way, the many other things which Prabhupada said, which have still now happened. Like for example, Prabhupada said, my books will become the law books for the next 10,000 years. Now, one may say, oh, Prabhupada's book has not become law book. But it will become in future. That will become law book. And people actually take instruction from Prabhupada's books. So like that, every desire of the Acharya will be fulfilled by the Supreme Lord, because the desire of the Acharya is only to please the Supreme Lord. So that is the greatest mystery. And Prabhupada says that this greatest mystery of love of Godhead, how it develops? It only develops by association. It only develops by association. That said that the Lord, his pastimes are going on in Goloka, and his pastimes also the Lord comes and shows in the material world. He shows some glimpses of his pastimes in the material world as he comes as incarnation. He comes as different incarnation, he comes as Krishna himself, and then he shows some glimpses of his pastimes in the material world. So when the devotee gets attracted to this pastime, then what happens is that, according to the explanation Prabhupada gives, that the devotee is able to continuously get a channel from the material world to the spiritual world. Now there are many live channels which are relaying. This live, that live, so many different live channels are relaying in so many different countries. Now devotee has a separate live channel. What is that live channel? That is Goloka live channel. He is able to see what is happening in Goloka. He is able to perform. He will be able to take part in those pastimes. Sometimes we have Srinivas Acharya's pastime, how he entered the Lord's Nitya Lila, and then again his disciple also entered the Lord's Nitya Lila. Both of them again came back. So we find different pastimes of how the devotees are able to enter into the Lord's Nitya Lila and come back. Like in London, Prabhupada said that Narad Muni has come, so you should put one chair, one Vyasasan for Narad Muni. Prabhupada is able to see that Narad Muni is coming, and he's very happy. We are not able to see, but he's able to see that Narad Muni is coming. He's very happy, so he instructed there should be one chair for him. And also, like Prabhupada made different comments, like one time one reporter was asking Prabhupada that how do you choose people to do various things? And Prabhupada said, Krishna tells me. Then one of his disciples there, he's tell the reporter, oh, Krishna tells me, Swamiji is saying that Krishna actually inspires his intelligence from within, and that and this. Prabhupada shot him down. He said, no. He said, Krishna talks to me. Krishna tells me. So, Prabhupada is able to talk to Krishna. Prabhupada said that his purports are dictated by Krishna. So, therefore, Prabhupada said, I also read my purports. I also read my books. I also read my purports. So, therefore, there are people who are able to exist in both these realities simultaneously. The spiritual reality and the material reality. There are people who are able to exist in both these realities simultaneously. Therefore, they fully understand both the realities. And sometimes their statements are very confusing for us. Because we don't understand both the realities. We don't even understand the reality which we are in, which is the material reality. Even this we don't understand fully. We don't know fully what is happening in the material world. We don't know fully. This material reality itself, we have very minimal knowledge. So what to speak about knowledge of spiritual reality? We don't have the knowledge of spiritual reality. But there are people who are able to see both these realities and experience both these realities at the same time. Great exalted personalities are able to do it. So therefore, they are actually in a position to explain the spiritual reality. And when we associate with such people, then we can also get a glimpse of that spiritual reality in our own experience. So that's how one can enter into the mystery of love of Godhead. Okay, please read.
And it is to be noted here that the mystery of Bhakti Yoga was disclosed to Brahmaji by Lord himself. And if one is fortunate enough to have received the knowledge in the transcendental disciples succession, surely he will have the chance to understand the mystery of the Lord and of that of Srimad Bhagavatam, the sound incarnation of the Lord.
So Bhagavatam simply tries to explain to us that how the Lord's material creation and the Lord's arrangement of the material creation, everything is simply an expression of his love for the jiva. That's what Bhagavatam is trying to explain to us. So that when we actually go to 10 cantos, the 9 cantos explain this only, that how this material creation is just an expression of Krishna's love. And how Krishna comes again and again in this material creation to actually attract the conditioned soul towards him. So when we understand that this is what Krishna is trying to do in the 9 cantos, then in the 10th canto, then we can actually understand why people are madly in love with Krishna. Otherwise, it's extremely difficult to understand that why people are madly in love with Krishna. What is this person? He is blue color, not even like us, some blue color boy, and he's just a cowherd. My father used to scold me when I lost some time when I'm careless with my studies. My father used to scold me that you are only fit for grazing cows. And then when I came to Krishna consciousness, I understood this is the greatest job because God himself is grazing cow only. So later date, I used to joke with my father that you are telling me that I was fit for grazing cows, but Krishna himself grazing cow only. So what is the big deal? Grazing cow is better than becoming engineer, I used to tell him. So the point is that unless we understand Krishna's love in what we can experience, we will not be able to understand Krishna's love in what we are not able to experience presently. So we are able to experience this cosmic manifestation. We are able to see this. We are sitting in this cosmic manifestation. And we are able to experience this cosmic manifestation in terms of sunlight, moonlight, in terms of the place to stay, food, in terms of the company of devotees, in terms of temples, in terms of facilities, so many different things, in terms of our service. We are actually able to experience this cosmic manifestation. And if we don't understand Krishna's love in what we experience, forget it, we will never be able to understand Krishna's love in what we are unable to experience. So therefore, Prabhupada says that those who think that the beginning cantos of Bhagavatam, they are actually inferior and they don't have rasa, they actually never understood what is Bhagavatam. Sometimes I have seen devotees also. Oh, what is the second canto? Full of philosophy. But that philosophy is about rasa. Like Prabhupada is here talking about love of Godhead. The philosophy is about rasa. It's about rasa tattva. The philosophy is about rasa tattva. So unless we understand the basis of rasa tattva, then how will you go to 10 canto and understand rasa tattva by itself? It's not possible. It's not possible. When Krishna leaves the rasa dance and the gopis, they become upset. Then they are searching for Krishna, and then Krishna comes back. Then they all have their dance, and then the gopis still, it is still itching their heart that why did Krishna leave? But they are also afraid of asking Krishna directly because they are thinking, oh, if you ask Krishna directly, then maybe he will leave again. Then it will become a big problem. Already he left once, and somehow or other we were lamenting, and then Krishna has come back. But at the same time, they also can not keep quiet. They have to ask Krishna. They have to ask Krishna. So therefore, they don't directly ask Krishna. They actually put a riddle in front of Krishna. This is the gopis' riddle, which is there in the 10th canto. They put a riddle in front of Krishna. And they say, oh, there are some lovers in this world. Even if we love them, they don't reciprocate properly. So what do you think of such kind of lovers? Very casually, they ask this question to Krishna. And the answer to that question is there in the first 9 cantos. That question, which the gopis ask Krishna, is considered as the core question of Gaudiya Vaishnava definition of love. And where is the answer for that question? The answer for that question is in the first 9 cantos. That's why we should study first 9 cantos to actually go to the 10th canto. So then Krishna tells the gopis that even though you were not able to see me, I never left you. This is the first 9 canto. This is the first 9 canto. That we are not able to see Krishna, but Krishna has never left us. This is the first 9 canto. So that answer has to be understood. To understand that answer, we have to study first 9 canto. That Krishna is a lover who never leaves. Every lover in your life will leave you. Whether it is father, mother, husband, son, children, daughter, relatives, friends, dog, cat, whatever it is. Every lover will abandon you. Or you will abandon that lover. This has to happen in this material world by the force of time. Even if you say that we will live and die together, still you have to die. And after you die, we don't know whether you will again come together or not. Or sometimes the wife tells the husband, for 49 lifetime, I want to be your husband. I want to be your wife. Very good. But after 49 lifetime, what happens? In Karma Kanda, it is explained, when there's a qualified husband, then the wife actually wants that same husband for 49 lifetimes. Of course, that idea of wanting the husband for 49 lifetimes actually gives that soul a male body. So actually that desire is not fulfilled. That soul simply gets the male body because of attachment to the husband's male body. Anyway, that's a different story. We're not getting into that. But the point is that every lover will leave, but Krishna never leaves. And Krishna tells that to the gopis. He tells that to the gopis, even when you are searching for me, I was always with you. But the point which we understand from 9 cantos is, even when we are not searching for him, he is with us. That is the point we understand from the 9 cantos. And actually, we are not searching for Krishna. We are not searching for Krishna. In the material world, hardly few people are searching for Krishna. Even devotees, they don't search for Krishna. I think, oh, Krishna is there in the temple. Okay, we'll go and see Krishna in the temple. Weekend mein jaake milenge Krishna ko. Then during weekday, we are busy with our own things. We have no time to go and see Krishna. So we are not searching for Krishna as devotees also. We don't have the mood to search for Krishna. We don't miss Krishna so much. I say sometimes we love our mobile phone more than Krishna. That if our mobile phone is not there with us for 10 minutes, we will turn the whole house upside down. But we have been living without Krishna for millions of lifetimes. We are not turning anything upside down. So we don't search Krishna. But even when we are not searching for him, he is there with us. That realization comes from 9 cantos. Then the person starts thinking, if Krishna is such a lover, then why I am not with Krishna, I am with everybody else? Why am I wasting time with everybody else? Why am I simply trying to fight with my wife, fight with my children, fight with this person, neighbor, dog, cat? Why am I doing this? Simply I can start loving Krishna and then everything will be all right. So that realization is supposed to come by studying the 9 cantos. Okay. When that realization is there, then 10th canto starts making some sense. Then you're also like able to relate to the sentiments of the Vrajavasis. Otherwise, it just looks like a nice story. Okay, so now comes the last shloka. But before we get to the last shloka, we'll have a break for 10 minutes. Already 10, 12 o'clock. We can have Gayatri break. So we will come back by 12:10.
तो हाँ मेरे को बताओ 5 मिनट में, फिर मैं उसको फोन करता हूँ। ठीक हाँ। 30 नंबर और 32 नंबर का एक बार पूछ लो।
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Welcome back. So, the first two shlokas of Chatur Sloki, we saw that how Krishna's superiority is established, and then the definition of Maya was established, and relationship between Krishna and the cosmic manifestation, the Jiva, was clearly established. So, in the second shloka, the third shloka of Chatur Sloki, the vision of a Premi Bhakta was established. How he is able to see Krishna inside and outside. He is able to see Krishna, experience Krishna inside the cosmic manifestation. And he is also able to see and experience Krishna outside the cosmic manifestation. And he is able to understand Krishna as the three forms, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvamajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti Bhagavan iti sabhyate. He is able to understand Krishna in these three forms. That Krishna is all-pervading as Brahman and Paramatma, and as Bhagavan, he is Goloka Eva Nivasati. He is simply staying in Goloka. So, the fourth shloka, it deals with Abhideya, or the process. Yes, Manohar Dvijapur, you have some comment?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, the last slok we read, and you said that this is prayojan. That means when can we take out the conclusion that only the Prema Bhakti is the prayojan by which the Lord can enter into the heart? He's giving the example of the elements, that the elements are outside and inside us. But if it is prayojan, that means the only through the Prema Bhakti, the Lord can enter. Like, for example, Prabhupada said that only a Prema Bhakti of the devotee which controls the Lord is the secret. So, though we can see that the prayojan is Prema Bhakti, because through this the Lord can enter to the heart of the devotee.
The point is, the Lord has already entered the heart of the devotee. It's not he has to enter. Okay. He has already entered the heart of the devotee. He is already there as Paramatma. Okay. So, as Paramatma, he has taken a neutral position. Udasinavat asinaha. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, in 9th chapter, Krishna says, Udasinavat asinaha. I have taken a neutral position as Paramatma. But that neutral position is not a permanent position. That neutral position Krishna has taken as long as the Jiva remains Bahirmukha, as long as the Jiva has turned his face away from the Paramatma. The moment the Jiva turns his face towards Paramatma, so then immediately it is said in the Isha Upanishad, Asya Mahimanam Vitashotaha. So he is able to understand his own position as Krishna's servant, and then he becomes free from all the lamentation. The two birds, they are sitting in the same tree. One bird is the Paramatma who is actually watching. The other bird is the Jivatma who is eating the fruits of the tree. Sometimes he is happy, sometimes he is not happy. But he is thinking the tree is his permanent location, but the tree is not his permanent location. The moment he turns his face towards the other bird, who is the Paramatma, then the Paramatma actually takes him away from the tree. He says, our place is somewhere else. Come, let's fly to that place. He takes him away from the tree and he goes. The idea of Bhagavatam is to actually make us understand that Krishna has already entered our heart. He doesn't have to enter our heart. He's already there, but we are not seeing him. So Bhagavatam gives us the vision to see him. So when we start seeing him, he is already not Paramatma, he is already Krishna or Narayana or Narasimha, Rama, Vamana, Kurma, whatever. In third canto, Brahma's prayer, there's a nice verse. He says that Tvam Bhakti Yoga Paribhavita Hritsaroja Asye Sutekshita Pato Nananata Pumsam Yadyadhya Urugaya Vibhavayanti Tat Tanu Pranayase Sadanugrahaya. Very beautiful verse, where Brahma is actually telling how Krishna manifests different form according to the desire of the devotee, simply to favor the devotee. Tad anugrahaya. Tvam bhakti yoga paribhavita hrit saroja asya shutekshita pato nanunata pumsa. So you are already there in their heart. But when the jiva becomes bhakti yoga paribhavita means that his feelings are now saturated with bhakti. In the material world, our feelings are saturated with the hankering for sense gratification. That's how our feelings are. They are completely saturated with the hankering for sense gratification. We are simply searching for sense gratification. Where it is. You go from one small town in India to all the way to Dubai, in the desert country, simply looking for sense gratification. Whether we can find it, sense gratification in the desert, the sands of Dubai. Can you find sense gratification? No, you can find only lizards and snakes in the sand of Dubai. You cannot find sense gratification there. But the search takes us to various places. Some people think that America is the Swargaloka of sense gratification. So I should go to America, the American dream. So different people have different dream. Our heart is saturated with the search for sense gratification. So therefore, we are unable to see Krishna in the heart. But when the heart becomes saturated with the sentiments for Krishna, Tvam Bhakti Yoga Paribhavita, then the heart actually turns into a lotus, Saroja. It turns into a lotus. It's no longer a dirty place. Right now, the heart is a dirty place. At least my heart right now is a dirty place. Why it's a dirty place? Because the dirt of millions of lifetimes of desire for sense gratification and the frustration, it has made the heart very, very dirty place. It's a dirty, dark place, this heart. So this heart has to turn into very pure, pristine lotus, very soft. Lotus is very, very soft. It's very tender. If you actually, everybody has experienced lotus. And the lotus is very, very, very beautiful, very soft, very tender. And it opens very nicely to see. There's a seat in the center, which is like a golden color seat, with very, very nice fragrant smell, and is full of nectar. It's filled with nectar. The lotus is filled with nectar. So the heart has to become from a dirty place to a lotus. So who will make this heart from dirty place to lotus? Who will make it? Krishna himself will make it. Krishna only will make this heart from dirty place to lotus. Krishna says, Shrunvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridayantasto hi abhadrani vidunoti suvritsapam. Vidunoti Vikrishta Rupena Dhunoti. Completely he will clean the heart. Who is cleaning? Are we cleaning? No, we are not cleaning. Krishna is cleaning. What we are doing? We are agreeing to become favorable to hearing. Shrunvatam Swakatha Krishna. We are simply agreeing to become favorable to hearing Krishna Katha. When we become favorable to hearing Krishna Katha, then Krishna cleans the heart. Krishna cleans the heart. So this dirty heart, all the dirt is removed. It becomes very nice, clean. Now it has become lotus. Krishna has made it into lotus. And Krishna himself goes and sits in that lotus. Asya sutekshita pato nanunata pumsa. And in which form he goes and sits? Different forms of the Lord has been seen by the devotee in Bhakti Yoga through the hearing process. Shruta ikshita pataha. Through the hearing process, the different forms of the Lord has been seen by hearing about the Lord from the Vedic literature. By hearing about the different forms of the Lord in the Vedic literature, through the ear holes, the devotee has seen the form. and he becomes Yadhyadhya Urgaya Vibhavayanti. He becomes Vibhavayanti. He becomes completely overtaken by feelings for a particular form which he has actually seen through the years by hearing the Vedic literature. And he's thinking, oh, Krishna, in this form, he's looking so nice. He is so merciful when he takes this form. I am so in love with this form. I'm so attached to this form. I cannot live without this form. Then Krishna assumes that form. Tat tat vapu pranayate. He assumes that form. For what reason? Sadanagrahaya. Simply for giving mercy to that devotee. Very, very, very beautiful shloka. Brahma actually speaks. So Krishna is already in the heart. He's not entering the heart. He's already there. He doesn't have to enter. He's already there. Now, the heart has to become lotus, and Krishna has to sit in that particular form, which actually attracts the devotee eternally. That's what is now remaining. How that will happen? That will happen by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, by actually seeing Krishna's love, by experiencing Krishna's love in the material world, by hearing Bhagavatam, by being with the association of devotees, then that is bound to happen. So, Prema Bhakti is the ultimate prayojan. Prema Pumarto Mahan. Artha means that facility which is meant for enjoyment. There is dharma, there is artha, there is kama, there is moksha. So when you perform your dharma, then you get your artha. Then with that artha, you satisfy your kama. So this is the sequence of dharma, artha and kama. Now, in the normal sense, dharma is understood as that which is done to maintain this body. And artha is understood as that facility which gives sense gratification to the senses of the body. And kama is understood as the process by which that sense gratification is enjoyed. And moksha is understood as that stage when we are fed up with this dharma, artha and kama. But according to Bhagavatam, there is another dharma. What is that dharma? The dharma is ahaituki apratihata bhakti. Savai pumsam paro dharmo eto bhakti radokshaje ahaituki apratihata eyatma suprasiddhati. This is real dharma according to Bhagavatam. Now, there is artha, and that artha is explained as Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayat Yasu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayat Ahaitukam. Vairagya means detachment from this material world, and Ahaituki Jnana. What is that Ahaituki Jnana? That Ahaituki Jnana is explained in Bhagavad Gita. What is that Ahaituki Jnana? That's explained in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna explains, Janma Karma Chame Divyam Yevam Yoveti Tatvataha Tekva Deham Punarjanma Na Iti Mame Iti So Arjuna. This is the Ahaituki Jnana. The Lord appears not for his own reason. He has nothing to do in this material world. The Lord doesn't need this material world. He doesn't appear in the material world because he wants to enjoy the material world. There is no reason for him, hetu. There is no hetu for him to appear in this material world. But he self-creates the rule. What is his self-created rule? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata pyudhanam adharmasya tadatmanam sajamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya chadushkritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. This is a self-created rule. He simply created the rule for himself. Why? Because he loves us. For this reason, he created this rule for himself. And then he comes in different millennium, scheduled incarnations. He comes as scheduled incarnations. Tang, 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 tang. He appears. So therefore, the whole process is to fall in love with Krishna. So when we understand that the Lord is simply coming to us because he is the lover and I am his beloved, that is called Ahaituki Jnana. And that is the prayojan. And for that Ahaituki Jnana to be manifested in the heart, The basic requirement is Vairagya. Because as long as we are interested in this material world and we are looking at material world as an independent means of enjoyment away from Krishna, then that knowledge of Krishna being the lover will never manifest in our heart. We'll always look for some lover in the street. We'll always look for some lover in the street. And if we don't get any lover, we'll become lover of dog, we'll become lover of cat, we'll become lover of the community, we'll become lover of the nation, we'll become lover of the humanity, we'll become lover of the world, we'll become all sorts of lovers except lover of Krishna. And all these lovers are useless fellows. All of them are number one useless fellows. So, therefore, first point is Lord is always in our heart. When we don't recognize that, then we are in Maya. When we start recognizing that, that's the process of sadhana bhakti. That sadhana bhakti gives the opportunity for the Lord to clean our heart and make it into lotus. And then in that lotus, because now we are attracted to a certain form of the Lord by the hearing process, the Lord manifests in the same form. And the devotee falls in love with the Lord. And that is prayojana. Okay. That's what the third verse is talking about.
And the second verse, when we were discussing about the Abhidheya. So it was
the second verse is still Sambandha.
The Abhidheya verses?
Fourth verse.
Fourth verse. So in the second verse, we explained that, you explained that process of perceiving and conceiving the things in relation to Krishna. That we, so that we can always remember Krishna. So can't we take, is it a, is not a Abhidheya in which we process in which we can conceive the Krishna?
No. Process is explained here. If you'll in the fourth shloka, you'll see the process. The second shloka, the main discussion is what is Maya and what is not Maya. Okay, that is the main discussion. How do you distinguish substance from reality? Like, for example, in the second shloka of Srimad Bhagavatam, the substance and reality is described. Okay. Dharma projito kaitavotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastavam atra vastu shivadam tapatrayon mulanam. So, kaitava dharma is the shadow. And Vastava Vastu is the substance. Kaitava Dharma causes the threefold material miseries. And that is the nature of the shadow. The reality or the substance, the Vastu, the Vastava Vastu, it actually uproots the threefold miseries. That is the nature of the Vastava Vastu. Okay. So there is shadow, there is substance. Now, how do you understand what is shadow and what is substance? That discussion is done in the second shloka. Ritirtam ya pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani tadvidyat atmano maya eta bhasho ekatamaha. That shadow also belongs to him only. He is not independent of him. He says atmano maya. This is my maya. Tadvidyat atmano maya. Like in Christian philosophy, there is God, there is Satan. And Satan is independent of God. God is good, Satan is evil. So the idea of whole Christianity is don't get attracted to Satan, get attracted to Christ, who is God or who is Son of God, whatever it is, according to whatever denomination of Christianity they are. They present Christ as somebody as Son of God, somebody as God. It's all their confusion. It's okay. But in principle, there's God and there's Satan. And Satan is independent of God. How did Satan come into existence? Christian philosophy has no answer for it. But Krishna conscious philosophy is God is both the source of good and the evil. He is not only the source of good, he is the source of good and evil. And he is beyond good and evil. is transcendental to both good and evil. So this is Krishna conscious philosophy, or it is the Vedic philosophy. Within the Vedic philosophy, again, there is impersonal school and personal school. To the point of Brahman being the source of good and evil, everybody agrees. And then to the point of transcending to good and evil, everybody agrees. And after that, then the impersonalist and personalist, they start fighting with each other. Okay. That's a Vedic philosophy. So the second verse basically deals with the relationship between the cosmic manifestation, the Jiva, and the Supreme Lord. Okay. So if you see everything in relation with Supreme Lord, then the cosmic manifestation has some meaning. If you don't see in relation with Supreme Lord, that is Maya, and the cosmic manifestation doesn't have any meaning. So this is talking mainly about relationship. This is not talking about realization.
Thank you so much.
Okay. The third verse talks about realization. You're able to see fire in the gas stove. You're also able to feel the fire in the stomach. When you're hungry, then you go outside and then you see in the break, hey, what is there to eat? Because you feel the fire in the stomach. And then you're saying, well, okay, is there something to eat? Okay, there's nothing to eat, but now what to do? Okay. So you're able to see the fire outside, you're able to see the fire inside also. There's realization of Krishna outside, there's realization of Krishna inside. So inside and outside, you simply see Krishna only, you don't see anything else. So that is prayojana. That's love. Because when a person is in love, then he can see only his lover. So, or whatever he sees reminds him of his lover. And because everything is connected to Krishna, then everything reminds him of his lover. That's why the universal form. In the beginning, we studied the universal form, and so many times we study the universal form. Universal form is actually, the study of universal form is actually an exploration of love in Bhagavatam. But people think universal form is like some dry study. No, it's a pure exploration of love. We explore the universal form in terms of manifestation of Krishna's love. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what the study of universal form, at least in Bhagavatam, is. In Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. That's what it is. That's what it is. There are other places, impersonalists look at universal form as different things. It's all different. So third verse is prayojana. And fourth verse, which you're going to read, that is Abhidaya. That's Abhidaya. Because it actually starts with inquiry. Starts with inquiry. Etavadeva jigyasyam tattva jigyasanatmanaha anvayat vatirekabhyam yatsyat sarvatra sarvada. A person who is searching after the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, must certainly search up to this in all circumstances, in all space and time, both directly and indirectly. Therefore, this is Abhidaya. It deals with the process of searching that absolute truth. That's the process. Okay. Now, absolute truth has been explained, and the vision also has been explained. Now you have to search, where is that vision? Why I am not able to see Krishna everywhere? Only I am seeing cupboard, I am seeing wall, I am seeing sofa, I am seeing computer, I am seeing garden. I am not seeing Krishna. So how to search Krishna in the cupboard, in the sofa, in the garden, in the computer? How to search Krishna? Then somebody teaches me. And this is how you search Krishna in all these places. And then I start following the process of trying to find and search Krishna in all these places. That is Abhidaya. Is it clear?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay, please read.
Your screen is not visible.
Oh, sorry, sir. Sorry.
To unfold the mystery of Bhakti Yoga, as it is explained in the previous verse, is the ultimate stage of all inquiries and or the highest objective for the inquisitive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just will wait here. So, in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, in the beginning, Arjuna is asking some questions. You remember what questions he asked in the beginning of 13th chapter Bhagavad Gita? Anybody remembers?
It is about body, kshetragya,
Two
Purusha,
questions.
Purusha,
Yes, Purusha, third.
then Prakriti,
Yes, fourth.
then
Two more. Two more. Anybody else?
yeah, one
Yeah.
is
Huh?
Gay and Gayam.
Gayam, that's fifth. And
Gay and
also
Gay.
Gaya, that is fifth. Sixth is
Gayam.
okay, you gave five, okay.
Jnanam,
Gayam.
jnanam.
Jnanam, yeah. So Prakriti, Purusha, Kshetra, Kshetragya, Jnana, and Gaya.
Gayam.
He asked for 5 items. Prakriti is what? What is Prakriti?
Material nature.
Nature.
Nature. Purusha?
Purusha is both
Krishna.
Krishna and Shiva.
Purusha is, Prabhupada gave Purusha nice translation. Then the title of 13th chapter itself. Prakriti is nature. Purusha is
Enjoyer.
enjoyer. Okay, very good. Kshetra is
The body.
Kshetra is body.
the field of activity.
Feel.
That's Kshetra, the field of activity, which is the body also. And Kshetragya,
Who knows that?
The doer of activity.
the
Doer
knower
of
of the
activity.
field. The knower of the field is called Kshetragya. Jnana,
The relationship
Knowledge.
between Prakriti, soul and Paramatma.
very good. But in plain terms, it just means knowledge. Gaya,
The knowable.
The
knowable.
knower.
Knowable means the object of knowledge. The object of knowledge. There is knowledge and then there is object of knowledge. So Krishna asked, Arjuna asked Krishna about this 6 things. These 6 things are Vedantic inquiry. Okay. These 6 things are Vedantic inquiry. And the Vedanta deals with all these 6 subjects. And that is also enquired in the beginning of Vedanta. Om Atato Brahma Jigyasa. That this Jigyasa or this inquiry is always on these 6 items. Okay. And all the confusion in life and all the different philosophies, they also deal with the 6 items only. For example, a materialistic scientist thinks that I am the Purusha, I am the enjoyer, there is no God. And this Prakriti is meant for my enjoyment. Okay. And he thinks this Prakriti is the Kshetra. And my research is that I should know this Prakriti nicely, therefore I am the Kshetragya. And all my study, all my knowledge is related to knowing the Prakriti, that is Jnana. And why should I know this? Because I want to utilize this Prakriti for my sense gratification, that is Jnaya. Is it clear? Is it clear? So, if you take the Mayavadi, he thinks that the Purusha is imagination. The Prakriti is also imagination. The Kshetra is another imagination. The Kshetragya is the person who knows that everything is imagination. Jnana is to know that everything is imagination, and Jnaya is to become Brahman and then become activity less, variety less, variation less, quality less, just become Brahman. That is Jnaya. A Sankyavadi is thinking that Purusha and Prakriti are eternally existing. They are eternally existing. And the interaction of Purusha and Prakriti by chance due to their proximity has become the reason for Kshetra to manifest. And that Purusha now has become the Kshetragya. Now the knowledge is simply to differentiate between the Purusha and the Prakriti. To understand that I, as a Purusha, has got nothing to do with the 24 elements which are the Prakriti. And the object of knowledge is that having understood that I have got nothing to do with the Prakriti, just to dissociate myself with the Prakriti and then re-establish myself eternally as the Purusha. That is the whole object of knowledge. This is what the Sankhya-vadis think. The Mimamsa-vadis think that the Prakriti and Purusha are eternally existing. And the only Kshetra for the Purusha is the Prakriti. And as Kshetragya, you should actually get the knowledge as to how to enjoy the Prakriti in a better and better manner by doing pious activity. And using that knowledge, you should continuously do pious activity, which will actually enhance his enjoyment. And he should actually not do sinful activity, which will give him suffering. So the whole purpose of life is to increase enjoyment and to mitigate suffering. This is what the Mimamsa-vadis think. Okay. The Nyayavadis think that the existence of the Purusha and the Prakriti as a Kshetragya, I should simply try to ascertain the reality of this existence by tarka, by proper tarka. And the means to actually conduct this tarka constitutes knowledge, jnana. And by such tarka, I will actually completely extract myself and become completely emotionless, like a stone. That is jnana. Because I have now ascertained the truth. Therefore, the activities of Kshetra and Kshetra, activities of Kshetra, or the activities of the Kshetra as Purusha, it doesn't affect me anymore. I have become like a stone. This is jnana. So the Vaisheshikavadis think that the Purusha and the Prakriti are simply a temporary manifestation of Paramanu, which actually carries the residual karma of the Kshetragya due to his previous actions in the Kshetra. Therefore, knowledge simply constitutes that the ultimate status is undifferentiated Paramanu. And reach that undifferentiated state by cutting the activities of the Kshetragya within the Kshetra to reach the state of Paramanu. This is jnana. The yogis think that the Purusha and Prakriti are eternally existing, and the Prakriti is controlling the Purusha because the Kshetra is not aware, the Kshetragya is not fully aware of the Kshetra. So knowledge constitutes the Kshetragya's awareness of how to control the Kshetra completely by attaining the Ashtamaha Siddhis. And having attained the Ashtamaha Siddhis, the Jnaya is simply to control the Kshetra and act according to his own free will. This is what the yogis think. So starting from scientist to yogi, everybody deals with only the 6 items. And everybody is only inquiring about the 6 items. Okay. So therefore, the inquiry on the 6 items and the proper understanding of the 6 items constitute any philosophy. It constitutes any philosophy, modern philosophy, old philosophy, young philosophy, yesterday philosophy, But the millennium before philosophy, any philosophy simply deals with these 6 items. Therefore, to clarify the proper nature of the 6 items, in the 13th chapter Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is asking question to Krishna, can you please clarify these 6 items once for all? And then Krishna gives reply about all these 6 items. And that constitutes 13th chapter. And Prabhupada says in the end of the 13th chapter that this chapter should be understood with the help of a bona fide spiritual master. Because everyone is trying to understand these 6 items. Our modern education is also trying to understand the 6 items only. If you actually see that the school books of the students, what they are studying environmental science, EVS. EVS is what? EVS is simply study of Kshetra, physics, chemistry, zoology. Physics and chemistry is simply study of Kshetra. Zoology and botany is simply study of various Kshetrajna. Mathematics is simply interaction of Kshetra with the Kshetrajna. Everybody is trying to study the 6 subjects. It's not that some crazy thing that Arjuna is asking, Krishna is telling, I have got no connection with all these things. Somehow 13th chapter Bhagavad Gita is there. Let me study this and then cross this and forget it. No, it's not like that. It's the most practical chapter. Because everyone is trying to deal with the 6 items. So therefore, Arjuna wants to clarify forever with Krishna that what are the proper understanding of the 6 items. And that question constitutes jigyasa. That constitutes jigyasa. The real inquiry. So that is what Krishna is saying here. Etavadeva jigyasam. That one, you should come to that point of understanding all these items properly. You should come to that point of understanding everything properly. That you should do that. Up to this point, you should inquire. So what is Vaishnava understanding of Prakriti, Purusha, Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Jnana, Jnaya? We understand the conditioned soul thinks himself as Purusha. And then he thinks the Prakriti is meant for his enjoyment. This constitutes the illusion. The real Purusha is Krishna. And both the conditioned soul and the cosmic manifestation are simply Prakriti. So the Kshetra is the cosmic manifestation, and there are 2 Kshetrajna. One Kshetrajna is the conditioned soul who is under illusion. Under illusion, he thinks he knows the Kshetra, but actually he doesn't know the Kshetra. There's other Kshetrajna who is the Supreme Lord, who is the actual knower of the Kshetra. Knowledge is to come out of this illusion and then recognize the Jiva's position as Prakriti and Krishna's position as Purusha. An object of knowledge, Jnaya, is simply to be established in that loving position with Krishna and then exchange loving relationship with Krishna in one's constitutional position. This is the object of knowledge. Prema is the object of knowledge. This is the actual understanding. Up to this point, one should inquire about the 6 items. One is always inquiring about the 6 items. There is no branch of study in the world without inquiry about the 6 items. So one is always inquiring about the 6 items, but one should not stop this inquiry somewhere in the middle, either by atheistic process or by other theistic philosophies. Inquiries, one should not be satisfied, or by the explanation of the atheistic process or the theistic inquiries, one should not be satisfied. One should keep inquiring about all these things till one reaches this conclusion that Krishna is Purusha and the Prakriti is the Jiva and the cosmic manifestation. Krishna is the real Kshetrajna. We are the secondary Kshetrajna. And the Kshetra is simply meant to understand Krishna and offer it in service to Krishna. The knowledge of devotional service constitutes jnana, and the maturity of devotional service in prema constitutes gaya. Up to this point, one should inquire about the 6 items. Is this clear? That is why it is called as Abhideya. That is the relevance of the 6 items which Krishna is discussing in Bhagavad Gita with Arjuna in the 13th chapter. It's very, very important. It's the most practical chapter actually, because it actually shows and deals, the chapter deals with how do we see everything? Why we are not able to give importance to Krishna consciousness, even when we know theoretically that Krishna consciousness is important. We know theoretically Krishna consciousness is important. But still we want to go to Facebook, still we want to see YouTube, still we want to go to Instagram, and we want to read newspaper, we want to do so many different things which are not connected with Krishna consciousness. Why? If we want to understand this, then we should read 13th chapter. Because 13th chapter actually deals with these things. That what is the nature of inquiry, and what should be the true inquiry, what are the illusory inquiries. It deals with everything. So therefore, any inquiry, it should lead up to this point. What is for breakfast today? It's an inquiry. It's a normal inquiry. Like sometimes children they decide to get up after asking this question to the mother. The mother goes to the child and then say, "Hey, get up." The child is asking, "What is there to eat today?" Then based on the answer of the mother, the child will decide whether to get up or continue to sleep. Sometimes it is like this. The child really likes to eat food. My son used to love eating. So this daily dialogue when he was a small child in our house, my wife will go and wake him up. "Hey, get up, you have to go to school." Then he will ask, "What will you pack for me?" So the point is, it's a simple question, but that question also should lead up to Krishna. That is that offered? Is it prasadam? Is it made with loving feelings for Krishna? Is Krishna satisfied by actually eating it? Is there enough to feed some Vaishnava if he comes to the home? If some Atiti comes home, is there enough to feed? So every question should lead up to that point. It may be a simple question, but every question should lead up to that point. And if the question doesn't lead up to that point, it's a useless inquiry. There's no point pursuing that line of inquiry. There's no point pursuing it. One should drop that line of inquiry. Okay. So that's what Prabhupada starts. To unfold the mystery of Bhakti Yoga, it is explained in the previous verse that ultimate stage of all inquiries or the highest objective, it's the highest objective for the inquisitive. There are many fields of inquiry in the material world, and all these different branches of inquiry are about the 6 subject matters, which is there in the beginning of the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. But all those inquiries should be made in such a way that those inquiries lead to love of Godhead. That's what in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, in the 2nd chapter, it is explained. Atapumbir dujashreshta varnashrama vibhagashaha swanishtitasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. Because ultimately it boils down to our day-to-day life. And day-to-day life means, in day-to-day life, we are doing various things according to our social position and according to our spiritual understanding. We are doing various things. This is what's called dharma as per varnashrama vibhaga, roughly in Kali Yuga. In other yugas, it was more defined. In Kali Yuga, it's less defined. But Bhagavatam is saying that this should be done for the satisfaction of Lord Hari. So that's the inquiry. That in various activities which I am doing, Am I satisfying Krishna or not? That's the inquiry. That's the inquiry. So that's what Bhagavatam says in the beginning. Atapumbir Dvijasheshta Varnashrama Vibhagashaha Swanishtitasya Dharmasya Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. Okay, okay. Please read, continue.
The Vedanta Sutra philosophy begins with this inquiry about life, and the Bhagavatam answers such inquiries up to this point, or the mystery of all inquiries. Lord Brahma wanted to be perfectly educated by the personality of Godhead, and here is the answer by the Lord, finished in 4 nutshell verses, from Aham Eva to this. To this verse, Etavad Eva. This is the end of all self-realization processes. Everyone is engaged in various kinds of scriptural inquiries, but the Srimad Bhagavatam gives answers to all of the various students of self-realization. This ultimate objective of life is not to be searched out without great labor or perseverance. Such a bona fide spiritual master is able to clear up the whole thing by evidence from the revealed scriptures, both direct and indirect. Although everyone is free to consult the revealed scriptures in this connection, one still requires the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, and that is the direction in this verse. The Lord is not to be found simply by education or by a good fertile brain, but surely he can be found by the sincere student through the transparent medium of the bona fide spiritual master.
Yeah. So the word Om Atato Brahma Jigyasa in the Vedanta Sutra, it has 2 Ataha. Om Ataha Brahma Jigyasa. That's the Ataha and Ataha becomes Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Okay. So what are those 2 Ataha means? The first Ataha means that in millions of lifetime, the Jiva has made many different type of inquiries to many different type of authorities, and through such inquiries and through such efforts, he has always achieved only frustration. This is the first Ataha. Okay. That he has found different authorities, and through different authorities, he has made different inquiries in search of happiness. But all those inquiries have ultimately resulted in frustration. So therefore, he has lost faith in all those authorities. He is done with them. Done with them. The second Ataha means that he has actually now achieved the association of pure devotees. That is the second Ataha. That is the significance of second Ataha. And he has now achieved the association of pure devotees, which is very rare to achieve. Therefore, he should immediately utilize this opportunity and inquire into Brahman. He should inquire into Brahman. He should inquire into Brahman means inquire into spiritual existence. That which gives unending happiness in all varieties, which is always increasing. This is the nature of happiness in the spiritual world. It is unending, it is in multiple varieties, and it is always increasing. So the nature of happiness in the material world is exactly opposite. It is short-lived, is very, very stale, and it creates more and more misery. That's the nature of happiness in the material world. So the point is that such inquiry should be made to the competent person. And who is the competent person? The competent person is the bona fide spiritual master. So the association of the bona fide spiritual master is considered as the greatest good fortune to the Jiva. That's what is confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Brahmanda Brahmite Kone Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Paye Shaktilata. That he is the most fortunate person because he has achieved the association of a Premi Bhakta who actually has that vision which is there in the 3rd shloka. he has achieved that person's association through a bona fide process of Diksha. And then he has accepted him as spiritual master. So therefore, that is his good fortune. That is his good fortune. Okay, please read.
Indirectly, it is said that the whole Vedic social construction of human society is so made that everyone acts as a part and parcel of the complete body of the Lord. Universal consciousness is factually achieved by coordinated service of all concerned to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that alone can ensure total perfection. Therefore, even the great scientists, the great philosophers, the great mental speculators, the great politicians, the great industrialists, the great social reformers, etc., cannot give any relief to the restless society of the material world, because they do not know the secret of success as mentioned in this verse of Bhagavatam, namely that one must know the mystery of Bhakti Yoga.
Yeah. So therefore, the indirect method is Varnashram. The direct method is engaging in the 9 type of devotional service. That was, it is at Anvayat Vatir Ekabhyam. Because Varnashram in general deals with duties of the body. The 9 process of devotional service deals with the duty of the soul. But since we have a body, and since the body is, and we are totally invested in the body also, and the soul has right now the capacity to act through the body, therefore the indirect dharma, which is Varnashrama dharma, that also should be performed in conjunction with the direct dharma, which is the Prema Bhakti. So both of them should coincide with each other. Both of them should coincide with each other. Therefore, the inquiries about how to perform the indirect dharma, they should be made in such a way that it increases the taste for the direct dharma. That is what was explained in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam. Dharma swanushtita pumsam visvakshena katasuyaha na utpadaye didratyam shramaye vahi kevalam. One may be earning a lot of money with one's job, or one may be running a successful business, or one may be engaged in some politics or social service or scientific research or whatever it is, or maybe philosopher or artist or artisan or dancer or singer, whatever it is. And one may be maintaining his body through this particular method. But if that is not nourishing the taste for the 9 process of devotional service, that is simply waste of time. It's simply waste of time. Therefore, this is the understanding of Anvayat Vatireka. That the direct activity of the soul is direct activity of Krishna consciousness. But because we have the body, then we have to necessarily engage in activities which are meant to maintain this body. According to our Varna and Ashrama, like Brahmachari has a different way of maintaining his body. He should just be surrendered to the movement. And the movement, whatever way it takes care of him, he should be satisfied with that. A Grahastha, he has to find some occupation according to his condition, whether he is Brahmana or Kshatriya or Vaishya or Shudra, whatever is his situation. According to his situation and inclination, he should find an occupation. Of course, in Kali Yuga, most of them are Shudras, and barely we find some Vaishyas. And then we don't have so many Kshatriyas, and then Brahmanas are very, very rare to find. Because Brahmana means that's not taking second initiation than Brahmana. Brahmana means that we should be like Brahmana. And what is that being like Brahmana? Being like Brahmana means Patana, Patana, Yajana, Yajana, Dana, Pratigraha. This is how a Brahmana should maintain himself. A Brahmana should maintain himself by reading Vedic literature or by studying Vedic literature and then teaching Vedic literature. by worshipping the Supreme Lord and by teaching others how to worship the Supreme Lord. This is Patana, Patana, Yajana, Yajana. By giving charity and by accepting charity. That is Dana Pratigraha. Among these 6 items, 3 items are compulsory for a Brahmana and 3 items are optional for a Brahmana. What are compulsory? Patana, Yajana and Dana are compulsory. Studying Vedic literature himself, worshipping the Supreme Lord himself, and giving charity are compulsory. Patana, Yajana and Pratigraha are optional. That he can teach Vedic literature, he can teach other people how to worship the Supreme Lord, and he can accept charity. They are optional. They are optional. So this is how Brahmana is supposed to live. So being Brahmana is very difficult, extremely difficult. But I know some devotees who are like Brahmanas in ISKCON. I am not one of them. But I know some of them are like that. They simply maintain themselves by doing these 6 items. They don't do anything else. They don't have some, they don't go to Dubai, earn some money, put all the money in the bank, and then simply come and talk Bhagavatam. People like me are doing such kind of things. So we are not actually Brahmanas. The real Brahmana means to simply depend on the Lord. So that's why being Brahmana is very difficult. It's very difficult. It's not so easy. That's why in Kali Yuga you don't find Brahmana so easy. It's very difficult to be a Brahmana. But it is possible. It's not impossible. It's possible. I have seen devotees living like that. I know few of my friends are there within ISKCON. They are like that. They actually maintain themselves very nicely. Being Brahmana. And they are always poor. Brahmana means they will always be poor. That's very clear. The wealth of a Brahmana is his transcendental knowledge. Sometimes he may have money, sometimes he may not have money. I met one devotee recently, and he is actually a Brahmana, and he maintains himself like Brahmana. And then he told me that 3 times he got big dakshina. And he was very happy that he got big dakshina 3 times. And all the 3 times he said that his dakshina was stolen and more things were also stolen. Not only dakshina was stolen, some more things were also stolen. He was laughing when he was saying that. He was telling, Krishna wants to keep me poor, what to do? This is Brahmana. This is Brahmana. So, but just simply being Brahmana without utilizing the Brahmanical nature to be a Vaishnava is useless. That's also useless. Whether one is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, doesn't matter. He may be very strict Brahmana, but if he is not a Vaishnava, then being Brahmana is also useless. Being Brahmana is also useless. So therefore, even though it is considered as exalted position materially, being Brahmana is considered exalted position materially. It in the Varnashram is considered exalted. But still, if that proclivity cannot be utilized to actually attain Prema Bhakti, then that proclivity is also useless. So that's what is the discussion here, that everyone should try to understand the Bhakti Yoga. Okay, please continue.
Therefore, all advancement of knowledge in the present context of things is being misused by cats and dogs fighting with one another for sense gratification, and all acquisition of knowledge in science, philosophy, fine arts, nationalism, economic development, religion, and great activities are being spoiled by being used as dresses for the devil. There is no utility in the dresses used for covering the save getting the false applause from the ignorant public. The Srimad Bhagavatam therefore says again and again that without attainment of the status of Bhakti Yoga, all the activities of human society are to be considered absolutely careless only. As long as one is blind to inquiring after self-realization, all material activities, however great they may be, are all different kinds of defeat. Because the aim of human life is not fulfilled by such unwanted and profitless activities. It is one's mind that generates different kinds of bodies or suffering different kinds of material pangs. Therefore, as long as the mind is absorbed in productive activities, the mind is understood to be absorbed in nations. Thus, one is sure to be subjected to material bondage in different bodies again and again until one develops a transcendental love of God, love for Godhead Vasudeva, the Supreme Person.
So these are proper translation of these two very important verses in Rishabha Shiksha in the 5th canto, which of course you will study. Parabhavastavad abodha jato yavarna jigyasata atma tattvam yavat kriyas tavadidam manovai karmatmakam yena sharira bandha evam manat karmavasam prayunte avidya atmani upadiyamane pritirna yavan mahi vasudeve na muchyate dega yogena tavat. This association with the body is called deha yoga. The association with the body, with the spirit soul, na muchyate, it never stops. The spirit soul continuously gets one body after another body. Why he is getting evam mana karma vasam prayante avidya atmani upadhiyamane. Avidya atmani, the ignorance has been understood as the identity of the self. Avidya atmani. Like for example, now there is a phone called iPhone. So what does iPhone mean? I have become phone. This is what iPhone means. Instead of saying my phone, you say iPhone. I have become phone. This is called avidya atmani, identifying yourself with ignorance. And upadhiyamane, and that ignorance is sitting very close to the mind. Upadhiyamane. And it has become the identity by karmavasa. Why did it become identity by karmavasa? That was explained in the previous verse. That there was no inquiry about Atma Tattva. Yavanna jigyasata Atma Tattvam. There was no inquiry about Atma Tattva. What does Atma Tattva mean? Atma Tattva means truth about the position of the soul. This is called Atma Tattva. Atma Tattvam. Tat means that. Tvam, you are. Atma, you are that. That understanding is not there. What am I? I am Atma. What are you as Atma? I am servant of Krishna. I am servant of Krishna. This is what I am as Atma. That is called Tat Tvam. You are that servant of Krishna eternally. That is Atma's position. That is explained in the 17th chapter, Bhagavad Gita. In the final verses, Krishna explains Om Tat Sat. Om Tat Sat. So Om refers to Krishna. Tat refers to the position of the Jiva as qualitatively equal to Krishna, but quantitatively different from Krishna. That is a reference of Tat. Sat refers to the eternality of the Supreme Lord, the eternality of devotional service, and the eternality of the Jiva. Seva, Sevya, and Sevaka. All the three are eternal. That is explained by the Sat Padartha. Tat Padartha explains the quality of the Jiva and the Ishvara as being the same, while Ishvara is the controller of the Jiva. Om represents the Ishvara Tattva. So there is Ishvara Tattva, there is Jiva Tattva, and then the relationship between both of them through the medium of devotional service, which is eternal. That constitutes Om Tat Sat. That's explained in the 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. In the end, Krishna explains that. One should inquire into that. That is called Atma Tattva. Yavanna jigyasata Atma Tattvam. You don't actually inquire into Atma Tattva. Then what happens? Yavat kriyas tavadidam manovai. Whatever material activity we are doing, mind is simply absorbed in that. Karmatmakam yena sharira bandha. Then mind has taken that activity as part of its identity And that binds the jiva to another body. That is called karmavasa. That's called karmavasa. So the inquiry is meant to break this. The inquiry of whatever inquiry we are actually making, these inquiries are meant to break this cycle. So therefore, that inquiry should be made. Otherwise, whatever inquiry we make and whatever benefit we get out of those inquiries is simply like dressing the dead body, because those inquiries will actually take us from one dead body to another dead body. In this lifetime, our dead body may be a poor man's dead body. And in another lifetime, our dead body may be a millionaire's dead body. But doesn't matter. Whether it is poor man's dead body, which will be burnt by some old wood and some petrol, or a millionaire's dead body, which will be burnt with sandalwood, that burning body is going to stink only. It's not going to make any difference. It's not going to make any difference. So therefore, rest of all the knowledge simply takes us from one dead body to another dead body. And in between with the knowledge, we can actually decorate ourselves very nicely and then think that we are very successful. But that is actually defeat. Why? Because the Atma is not meant to be associated with the body. Therefore, any inquiry should be directed towards how to develop love of Godhead. Pritirna yavan mayi vasudeve. Vasudeva priti. Every inquiry should be directed towards that end of Vasudeva priti. Okay. Please read. What happened? By scrutinizing, reviewing all revealed scriptures and by judging them again and again, it is now concluded that Lord Narayana is the supreme absolute truth, and thus he alone should be worshipped. This is from Padma Purana, Skanda Purana, and Linga Purana. All the three Puranas have this passage. Prabhupada is giving evidence after evidence from different Puranas. One may say, oh, this is only Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is saying like this, but other Puranas and other evidences are not there that Bhakti is supreme. So Prabhupada gives a series of evidences. Samsare esmin maha gore janma mrityu samakule pujanam vasudevasya tarakam vadibi smratam. In a material world which is full of darkness and dangers, combined with birth and death, full of different anxieties, the only way to get out of great entanglement is to accept loving transcendental service to Lord Vasudeva. This is accepted by all classes of philosophers. Paramam gatopi vedanam sarva shastra vedayapi yona sarveshware bhaktas tam vidyat purushadhamam. Even though one may have gone to the other side of all the Vedas, and even though one is well versed with the living scriptures, if one is not a devotee of the Supreme Lord, he must be considered the lowest of mankind. So I was saying that even if one is a strict Brahmana, if he is not devotee, then it's useless. He may learn the Vedas one time straight, one time reverse, one time thematically, one time according to different topics, different ways of learning Vedas. He may do all that. Satkarmo nimro nipuno vipra mantra tantra visharadaha. He may be able to chant the mantras with perfect pronunciation and Sanskrit. Avaishnavo guru nasyat. If he is not a Vaishnava, he cannot become guru. Vaishnavo swapacho guru. Even if one is a dog eater, if he is a Vaishnava, then he can become guru. So, Sabda Brahmani Nishnato Na Nishnatyat Pareyadi Shramastasya Shramo Phalo Yet Adhunim Iva Rakshataha. One may be well versed in all transcendental literature of the Vedas, but if one fails to be acquainted with the Supreme, then it must be concluded that all his education is like a burden of a beast, or like keeping a cow without milking capacity. Now, the lowest of human beings can be elevated to the highest stage of devotional life if they are trained under the bona fide spiritual master, well versed in transcendental loving service of the Lord. If the lowest can be elevated so, then what to speak of those who are well versed in the Vedic knowledge? Again, Garuda Purana reference. Even the worms, birds, beasts are assured to be elevation to highest perfection of life. They are completely surrendered to transcendental loving service of the Lord. So what to speak of philosophers among human beings? So then Prabhupada actually speaks something which is very important. It's Prabhupada's mood, is our mission, that how Krishna consciousness is common for everybody. The whole world should become Krishna conscious. Therefore, there is no need to seek properly qualified candidates for discharging devotional service to the Lord. Let them either be well-behaved or ill-trained. Let them either be learned or fools. Let them be grossly attached or in renounced order of life. Let them be liberated souls or desire of salvation. Let them be inexpert in discharge of devotional service or expert in the same. All of them can be elevated to supreme position by discharging devotional service under proper guidance. So that's Prabhupada's mood, that he wants everyone to be guided and everyone should practice devotional service. So that's the purpose of studying Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhava, Bhakti Vedanta, Bhagavatam, systematic study. It will actually cause some change in our life. It actually takes us from one level to another level. Some change should be there when we study Shastra, when we study the scripture. Some change should happen. Some more distance we should travel in our advancement in devotional service. Fire is always fire. Even if someone touches fire, knowingly or unknowingly, fire will act in its own way without discrimination. The principle is Harir Harati Papani Dushta Chittera Pismataha. The all-powerful Lord can purify the devotee of all sinful reactions, just as the sun can sterilize all sorts of infections by powerful rays. Attraction for material enjoyment cannot act upon a devotee. Therefore, in all continents, in all planets, in all universes, devotional service of the Lord or Bhakti Yoga is current. And that is the statement of Bhagavatam and its allied scriptures. Everywhere means every part of the creation of the Lord. Not only Bhakti Yoga in the material world, in this planet during Kali Yuga, it is common for all the 14 planetary systems. Everywhere the cult of Bhakti Yoga should be preached. And everybody should be included in Bhakti Yoga. That's what Prabhupada says, Akama sarva kama va moksha kama udaridihi ivrena bhakti yogena ejeta purusham. So then at this moment, the remembrance of Vasudeva, the Supreme Lord, is missed. And that is the greatest loss, greatest illusion, and greatest anomaly. This we discussed that we should be able to miss Krishna. We are not missing Krishna. We are not remembering Krishna. We are remembering everything else. That is the problem. That is the problem. We are unable to remember Krishna. That is the greatest anomaly. We think that not having money is the greatest anomaly, or not having house is the greatest anomaly, or sometimes we think that this is the greatest anomaly, that is the greatest anomaly. But the real greatest anomaly is that we are not thinking of Krishna. Now, you see, Prabhupada gives whole list of evidences why one should practice bhakti. The 6 points Prabhupada gives different evidences. So the final conclusion is, therefore, the glories of the Lord must always and everywhere be proclaimed. Okay, read the last part. It's again Prabhupada's mode and mission. Please read. Who is the next reader? Please read.
The cream of the Srimad Bhagavatam in the foregoing 4 shloka is sometimes squeezed out by the impersonalists for different interpretations in their favor, but it should be carefully noted that 4 shlokas were first described by the personality of Godhead himself. Thus, the impersonalist has no scope to enter into them because he has no conception of personality of Godhead. Therefore, the impersonalist must squeeze out any interpretations from them, but such interpretations will never be accepted by those who are taught in the disciplinic succession from Brahma, as will be cleared up in the following verses. Beside that, the Shruti confirms that supreme truth, absolutely personality of Godhead, never reveals himself to anyone,
who is falsely proud of his academic knowledge.
Ayam Atma pravachanena labhyo na medaya na bahuda shutena yam yevaisha vrinite tena labhyas tasyes atma vibrinite tanum swam. That is simply obtained by knowledge through the proper parampara. Is not obtained by giving some big lecture or simply by having great knowledge and intelligence, nor by hearing various scriptures. He cannot be understood. The Supreme Lord cannot be understood. So this is the conclusion of the Katha Upanishad. So therefore, in these 4 verses, which is the Prabhupada starts these 4 verses refuting Mayavad, and Prabhupada finishes these 4 verses refuting Mayavad. So therefore, one should understand the importance of refuting Mayavad philosophy. And also one should be very careful not to become victim of this kind of impersonal understanding of the Supreme Lord. So, having spoken these 4 verses, then the Lord concludes. In the next 10 verses, the Lord concludes. In the next few verses, Lord concludes, and then after that, the conversation is concluded by Sukadeva Goswami. Okay, let's read the translations. We have some time. We'll try to read all the translations. You read quickly, otherwise we'll lose time.
Just follow this conclusion by fixed concentration of and no.
Okay, next.
Shukdev Goswami said to Maharaj Parikshit, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, after being seen in his transcendental form, instructing Brahmaji, the leader of the living entities, disappeared. On the disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, who is the object of transcendental enjoyment for the senses of devotees, Brahma, with folded hands, began to recreate the universe full with living entities as it was previously. Thus, once upon a time, the forefather of living entities and the father of religiousness, Lord Brahma, situated himself in acts of regulative principles, desiring self-interest for the welfare of all living entities.
Narada very much pleased his father and desired to know all about the energies of Vishnu, the master of all energies. For Narada was the greatest of all the sages and greatest of all devotees, O king.
The great sage Narad also inquired in detail from his father Brahma, the great-grandfather of all universe, after seeing him well satisfied.
Thereupon, the supplementary Vedic literature, Srimad Bhagavatam, which was described by the personality of Godhead and which contains 10 characteristics, was told with satisfaction by the father Brahma to his son Narada. So this is the linking shloka between this chapter and the next chapter, because the Dasalakshana, this will be described in the next chapter. Tasma idam Bhagavatam Puranam Dasalakshanam Proktam Bhagavata Praha Pitru Putraya Bhutakrit. So what is the Dasalakshana? This will be described in the next chapter, which are the 10 subject matters of Srimad Bhagavatam. In succession, O king, the great sage Narada instructed Srimad Bhagavatam to the unlimitedly powerful Vyasadeva, who meditated in devotional service upon the Supreme Lord, the Absolute Truth, on the bank of Saraswati. You already seen that. This we already studied. So, O king, your questions on how the universe became manifested from the gigantic form of the personality of Godhead, as well as other questions, I shall answer in detail by explanation of the 4 verses already mentioned. So, of course, we have to go through the purports. We don't have time. We are ending today. We'll continue with the purports tomorrow. And we'll end this. And then tomorrow, hopefully, we'll also finish the 10th chapter, which will bring us to the end of the 2nd canto. Okay. So, if you have some questions in what we have discussed today, we'll have some opportunity to discuss questions or comments or any more discussion. We'll have some opportunity tomorrow in the beginning of the class. Then after that, we'll try to close this chapter. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hare Hare Bol.